This desert was getting more and more dangerous, with traps everywhere. There were a few times when Chen Xiang almost stepped into these traps, and it was only Yue who reminded him in time that he could avoid these traps. This desert was getting more and more dangerous, with traps everywhere. There were a few times when Chen Xiang almost stepped into these traps, and it was only Yue who reminded him in time that he could avoid these traps. He suddenly realized that this trial was basically impossible to pass because it was simply too difficult. If it wasn't for Yue's help, he didn't know what would have happened to him. I wonder how Xiao Chou is doing, sigh. Chen Xiang also wanted to partake 1p8 in this kind of trial. Xiao Chou didn't have Yue's help, so it would definitely be much more difficult than his. Chen Xiang had absorbed a large amount of 6 realms power from the 6 realms mirrors for cultivation. His God power was already very strong in the divine sense C, so he only needed a bit of 6 realms power to transform it. Looks like the 6 realms power is not something that can be absorbed at any time. It's getting smaller and smaller. Chen Xiang had already stopped chanting. He had been cultivating the 6 realms magic kung fu for more than a month. Yue replied, "Of course, 6 realms mirrors also need to rest. They will be fine after a while." His inability to continue cultivating disappointed Chen Xiang a little, but he was using the heavenly alchemy to temper the 6 realms power in his divine sense C, to make it stronger and purer. I wonder if I can absorb the 6 divine powers directly to concoct pills. Chen Xiang suddenly had a whim. He then rummaged through the heavenly alchemy, seeing if there was any method to condense the 6 realms power into a pill. If the 6 realms power was refined into a pill, then the quality would increase by many times, and it was much better than directly consuming it. Looks like I'll need a few more years to travel through this desert. Chen Xiang was already numb to it. The desert seemed to be endless. This should be to give you more time to improve, if not this trial will have no meaning at all. Although very few people have PAS, said this trial, the ones that have PAS, said, are all very outstanding, much more powerful than those that are born in the Supreme Divine Palace. Yue replied, "Maybe there will be preferential treatment." This time, he did not directly use it to cultivate. Instead, he absorbed it and sealed it in his palm. As he walked, he released the magic method furnace and placed the 6 realms power into the magic method furnace. Then, he used the method inside the heavenly alchemy specifically to refine the 6 realms power. Chen Xiang discovered that all 4 great taboo magics were related, because he could find out the method to refine 6 realms power from the heavenly alchemy, and the heavenly alchemy could also assist in the cultivation of the God murdering sword techniques as well as the heaven's body. Now, he could even refine 6 divine powers to cultivate the 6 realms magic kung fu. Can it really be used to refine pills? I have heard of the power of heavenly alchemy, but I only know that it is usually used for battles. There are very few legends that can be used to refine pills. Yue said, "The heavenly alchemy can be used in battle, but it should be very powerful as well. It's just that I did not go and research in this direction." It would already be hard for Chen Xiang to comprehend the heavenly alchemy's method of pill refinement, but he would use other techniques to fight. Of course, he had fought using the heavenly alchemy before, so just training people in it was really impressive. Refining the 6 realms power wasn't difficult, because he used the 6 realms magic kung fu. According to the 6 realms magic kung fu's methods, he could make the 6 realms power more docile, so that it would be much easier to refine. This was the first time Yue saw someone using heavenly alchemy to refine pills. She squatted on Chen Xiang's shoulder and opened her eyes wide, looking at them without blinking, extremely carefully. The 6 realms power was transparent and could not be seen, but after Chen Xiang gathered it all together, it had actually become light yellow. Under the incineration of the flames, its color continued to deepen and gradually became golden. It should work. Chen Xiang smiled slightly. Right now, he had refined the 6 realms power that could only be formed after a month of refining a 6 realms mirrors. Because he wasn't absorbing the 6 realms power into his body to cultivate now, he could absorb all of the 6 realms power into the magic method furnace to refine. This should be called the 6 Daos Divine Pellet. It can be considered a shopping dan. Chen Xiang snickered. As he traversed the mountains, it was not easy for him to refine pills at the same time. Fortunately, he was very familiar with using magic method furnaces to refine pills, so he was able to refine pills as he walked. The light within the magic method furnace became stronger and stronger. A large amount of 6 realms power had undergone a large change under Chen Xiang's refinement, so as long as they were compressed into a pill, they could be eaten. It was not easy to condense such a huge lump of 6 realms power into a pellet. It took Chen Xiang half a day to condense such a huge pellet, but it was still considered a pellet, only that it was too small. It's just this little, is it effective? Yue looked at the golden grain of rice in Chen Xiang's palm, feeling a little puzzled. Of course it's effective. It's at least several times better than the 6 realms power that I directly absorbed. After Chen Xiang swallowed it, he immediately activated the 6 realms magic kung fu. Because he was cultivating while walking, he needed a lot of time to refine the low-grade 6 Daos Divine Pellet. He would be able to refine a single 6 Daos Divine Pill in one day, but he would need to wait for a month for the 6 realms mirrors to condense enough 6 realms power to refine it. Chen Xiang was already mentally prepared for a prolonged battle. This was not to fight with a strong opponent, but patience, because this road was very long. He didn't know how long he would have to walk, but if his mental pressure was too great, it would also affect him. Just like this, several years passed, and he finally saw a piece of green land. It was a large GRAS land, and this was the best place he had ever seen in this trial ground. 8 years. Chen Xiang was obviously excited. At the moment his entire body was dirty and his hair was messy. He looked like a beggar by the roadside. Although it was a GRAS land in front, he did not immediately rush over, worried that there might be a trap. He had been very careful during his 8 years in the trial ground. He could not afford to make any mistakes at this very last moment. He had yet to become a profound God, so although cultivating the 6 realms power allowed him to control 6 different types of powers, there was one drawback to it, and that was that he had leveled up very slowly. It's the last one. Let's break through after entering this GRAS land. Chen Xiang looked at the larger 6 Daos Divine Pill in his hand. He had used 6 realms mirrors for so many years, and the 6 realms power they condensed every other month were also increasing in number. So the 6 divine pellets that he refined were also getting bigger. After consuming this 6 Daos Divine Pill, he followed Littleman's guidance, Bipa sing an invisible trap, and entered the dark green prairie. After Chen Xiang entered the GRAS lands, a faint golden light leaked out of his body. He felt that he would break through very soon, and as long as he refined this 6 Daos Divine Pill, he would be able to advance into the realm of profound God. After stepping into the prairie, the desert behind him disappeared, and behind him was pitch-black darkness. Not only that, there was a palace in the distance. That should be the end. This trial really isn't easy. Yue sighed with emotion. Chen Xiang slowly walked on the soft green GRAS, each step slow and steady, trying his best to hurry and refine the 6 divine pellets he had just consumed. Only by refining the 6 divine pellets would he be able to break through to the profound God realm and complete the trial. Chen Xiang slowly walked on the soft green GRAS, each step slow and steady, trying his best to hurry and refine the 6 divine pellets he had just consumed. Only by refining the 6 divine pellets would he be able to break through to the profound God realm and complete the trial. He was just a bit away from entering the profound G-O-D realm, but it was difficult to break through. The final trial was right in front of him, which immediately put a lot of pressure on Chen Xiang. Can he break through at the last moment? Chen Xiang closed his eyes and walked forward. Even though his feet were moving, he seemed to be sitting steadily, unable to feel any movement at all. This was something that he had developed over the past few years, and this was how he trained as he walked. Yue could remind him if there were any traps nearby, so he could focus on cultivating. A palace was right in front of them. When they looked at it from afar, the palace seemed to be very big, but as they gradually approached, they realized that it was very small, like a small house. It was extremely strange, and even more bizarre was that the palace seemed to move. In order to break through the bottleneck, one needed sufficient mysterious power to enter the realm of profound G-O-D. I have to replace the mysterious power with the 6 realms power now, and it seems that it's enough. I'll give it a try. Qin Xiang channeled the 6 divine powers in his body, causing the divine sense C to surge violently. Possessing sufficient strength, as long as one broke through the and surrounding the divine sense C world, the divine sense C world would undergo a metamorphosis. The power within the divine sense C would be sublimated, and their divine soul would be strengthened by leaps and bounds. Boom! Chen Xiang saw that the blue sky above divine sense C world had been split open by his condensed 6 realms power, and golden light leaked out from the crack. I'm going to succeed. Chen Xiang was extremely excited in his heart. As long as he continued to use the 6 realms power to attack it, he would be able to break out of this layer of and undergo a brand new transformation and evolution. Boom! He once again activated the 6 realms power in the divine sense C, exploding in the sky above the divine sense C world, causing even more cracks to appear. He had to destroy the entire sky above the divine sense C world in order to break through. With every step Chen Xiang took, a burst of golden-colored aura gushed out of his body. Each step signified that he was using the 6 realms power to break through a bottleneck. The distance to the small house in front of them was getting closer and closer. From afar, it looked like a palace, and walking into it, one could see that it was only an ordinary small house. If you really think that you can pass the trial by coming to this palace, then you are wrong. Fortunately, you did not run here crazily, otherwise you would have definitely fallen into those traps. Yue lay on Chen Xiang's shoulder, and they could clearly feel how much effort he put in by using the 6 realms power to break through the bottleneck time and time again. There was still a distance of over 3,000 feet before he reached the small house. The small house did not move as it had before. Golden light radiated from Chen Xiang's body, and the sky above divine sense C was already shattered as a large amount of golden light poured into his divine sense C world, fusing together with everything within his divine sense C world. His divine sense C was filled with golden light, and in that moment he returned to his original appearance. The world once again appeared, and he looked no different than before, but the power in his divine sense C had already turned into a stronger 6 realms power. A mysterious power of this level should be at the level of a middle profound G-O-D. After breaking through, he actually said through a stage. One must know that it required a lot of time and effort to advance from the lower profound G-O-D-S to the middle profound G-O-D-S. However, after Chen Xiang broke through, he immediately reached the middle profound G-O-D-S. Although Chen Xiang's divine sense C had a large number of 6 realms power S, his body was currently leaking out waves after waves of divine profound energy. Just as the profound spirit Qi was released, it was immediately absorbed by him, and the gold light around his body had disappeared as well. Right now he was completely filled with confidence as he walked towards the small hut in front of him. He was no longer as slow as he was before. With a single step, He teleported to the front door of the small house. Dong, dong, dong. Chen Xiang knocked on the door a few times, then a burst of powerful qi rushed out from the gap in the door. He anxiously retreated a few steps. He was already prepared to fight. After the door was opened, a young man appeared. This man was dressed in a golden red robe. On the clothes there were many S.H.I plus Ning spirit grain S. It was extremely strange. The man looked at the cat on Chen Xiang's shoulder. A hint of surprise flashed past his eyes that were ice cold. He said coldly, "It's not bad to be able to walk this far, but regretfully you must die here." Chen Xiang had already made his preparations. In this trial, other than countless traps, there were only these kind of fellows who blocked his way. In his map, this was the destination. In other words, as long as he could defeat the person in front of him, he would pass the trial. Then let's begin. Chen Xiang said indifferently. He did not reveal any fear, as though he was looking forward to this battle. Come with me. Fighting in this place will only affect my mood. The man turned and walked through the door. Chen Xiang followed behind him, and saw a small word written on the clothes on his back. Supreme Sword Hall, Song Peng. Yue sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. This is a very powerful Supreme Divine Palace disciple. His clothes and the sword in his hand all indicate that he has a pretty good position within the Supreme Divine Palace, and Sword Hall is even ranked among the top. Chen Xiang followed behind Song Peng as they said through a long passage and arrived at a huge hall. There were young people lined up neatly all around the hall, men and women alike, all of them lined up very neatly. And right in front of this huge hall was a huge word sword. Seeing this vigorous and powerful sword word, Chen Xiang did not know why, but the killing sword in his body seemed to want to shoot out, and the word in front of his eyes made him feel a sense of respect. The person who had written these words had clearly injected a dense sword intent into the brush. He had used the brush as a sword, causing this word to have an extremely profound aura of the path of the sword. Chen Xiang realized that he was inside the Supreme Divine Palace, and it was even that sword hall. "I'll give you 1 hour," Song Peng said towards the word sword. His current voice was not as cold and disdainful as before, but instead carried an incomparable reverence. Within this sword hall, when facing that word, he simply could not be arrogant at all. The other disciples of the sword hall were all very quiet. They did not whisper to each other, but stood up straight and lined up in an orderly manner. Chen Xiang counted, there were around 1,000 disciples, and all of them were in the profound G.O.D. realm. These disciples did not pass the trials, they were all born and raised in the Supreme Divine Palace. They have never left the Supreme Divine Palace, and should be a group of youngsters. This sword hall should be the profound G.O.D., so they are all profound G.O.D.'s disciples. Yue sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. Maybe the person who will be competing with you is the hall master of this place. Chen Xiang looked around and sent a sound transmission to Yue. It shouldn't be hall master, look over there, there's a chair, that's where the hall master sits, but the smell of that chair is different from the one on that guy's body. Yue was a little shocked. Smell? I can't even smell it. How can you smell it? I'm not too sure either. It just feels like it. Chen Xiang also realized that he had a strange feeling all of a sudden. That feeling didn't come from smelling it with his nose, but instead, he felt it. Welcome, Hall Master. A burst of powerful shouts suddenly exploded in the hall, startling Chen Xiang. He and Yue immediately looked towards the chair, because the Hall Master had suddenly appeared on top of it. Just as Chen Xiang had said, Song Peng was not the Hall Master. The Hall Master who had just appeared was a relatively short youth, but no one would think that he was very short and weak. The cold expression on his handsome face gave people a lot of pressure. The profound G.O.D.s in the hall were all this kind of young man. Chen Xiang couldn't help but think about the yellow-clothed man. he killed earlier, he was already a upper true G. Oh, the young man and the young disciples in the hall might even be around 20 or 30 years old. Song Pung, are you confident that you can defeat him? If not, I will choose another one. That hall master asked. I am confident that I will definitely defeat him. Song Pung still had his back facing Qin Xiang, facing that word sword. The hall master smiled slightly. Song Pung, don't disappoint me, leave this matter to us 19 halls to handle, we cannot screw it up. He is the only one who can come here since the start of the trial. Qin Xiang and Yue were both a little surprised that no one had really said this trial. After Song Pung made Qin Xiang prepare for an hour, Qin Xiang actually felt that Song Pung wanted him to prepare for himself. This would definitely give him a lot of pressure. Qin Xiang, on the other hand, was quite relaxed. Along the way, he had faced so many trainings, and not to mention the previous trials, just the experiences of him, a small fry who had struggled until now, were not something this brat could compare with. You don't seem worried at all about losing. You should know that the moment you lose, you will die. Seeing Qin Xiang's relaxed expression, the hall master frowned and asked. Qin Xiang chuckled. Since you've come, then you should rest in peace. If you were like me and have experienced countless hards, HI+PS to come here, you wouldn't feel afraid at all. I have experienced many life and death situations along the way. The head saint nodded, that's right. In that case, you should have already taken life and death lightly. Qin Xiang shook his head and laughed. Of course not, I am very afraid of death. It is because I do not want to die that I have to live. If I were to take my life lightly, I would not have come to this place. Since you are afraid of death, then you should be afraid. We are different from the strong enemies you met outside. In his eyes, the people outside the Supreme Divine Palace should be afraid of them. Qin Xiang laughed. But all of you are enough to make me fear. I do not understand anything about you. Why don't you tell me why you are so afraid? Song Pung suddenly turned around and said indifferently, Seems like you are already prepared. Let's fight, defeat me, and you can finish the trial. Qin Xiang had been impatient since a long time ago. He seemed a little excited and laughed. Why don't you say so? If I defeat you, I can complete the trial. You probably never thought that you would die, you probably aren't afraid of death. I'm not feeling well, I need to rest early, just a chapter, sorry. When all the disciples of the profound God heard Qin Xiang's words, they all started to discuss softly, because what Qin Xiang had just said was too arrogant. Forget about someone who had entered the Supreme Divine Palace from the outside, even the disciples of the other halls of the Supreme Divine Palace had to be respectful. Why would they dare to be so arrogant? When all the disciples of the profound God heard Qin Xiang's words, they all started to discuss softly, because what Qin Xiang had just said was too arrogant. Forget about someone who had entered the Supreme Divine Palace from the outside, even the disciples of the other halls of the Supreme Divine Palace had to be respectful. Why would they dare to be so arrogant? The hall master frowned and said to Song Pung, Don't embarrass this hall. You must stop him from entering the Supreme Divine Palace. Song Peng's sword was already unsheathed, and that kind of sharp glint brought about an endless amount of killing intent. Hi plus Ning onto Qin Xiang's body, causing him to feel the biting cold wind. This was the first time Qin Xiang had felt such a terrifying sword intent. Of course, his own killing sword was even more terrifying, it was just that he was unable to sense it himself. This Song Pung was extremely prestigious amongst them, and from the eyes of the majority of the disciples, Qin Xiang could see the kind of look of reverence in their eyes when they were looking at Song Pung. Qin Xiang also took out his sword. The God slaughtering sword looked very old, its exterior was mottled with rust, and it did not have any spirit grain. It looked like it was made of scrap metal. When compared to Song Peng's dazzling divine sword, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Song Pung didn't care what weapon the other party used. because this wasn't important in his eyes at all. No matter what powerful divine weapon Chen Xiang used, he would always be a dead man in his eyes. Yue flew away from Chen Xiang. Watching from afar, she was extremely confident in Chen Xiang because she accompanied him on his journey. Begin. The hall master shouted softly, and all the disciples of the sword hall watched attentively. Song Peng was the first to make a move. He instantly disappeared, only to see a ray of sword light, as fast as lightning, accompanied by a monstrous killing intent, striking towards Chen Xiang. Everyone thought that he would not be able to block this strike. Unexpectedly, Chen Xiang seemed to have predicted that Song Peng would attack him in such a manner, and the moment Song Peng disappeared, he had already opened the G.O.D. slaughtering sword in his hands. Chen Xiang's swinging of the sword seemed to have accidentally raised his hand, and looked like a coincidence, as it blocked the sword thrust by Song Peng. However, all of the sword hall disciples present knew very well that this sword strike was not a coincidence, because Chen Xiang's seemingly casual sword strike contained very profound strength. Song Peng's sword technique was extremely high-leveled. When he unleashed his sword, it was all condensed sword force. It was able to destroy everything, and easily break through the God power barrier, but Chen Xiang's sword, which seemed to be as such, cleverly dispelled the sword force, making Song Peng's sword turn into a very ordinary sword. Song Peng felt his sword force dissipating with full of confidence. He reacted extremely quickly, and anxiously withdrew his sword, because he no longer had any momentum for his sword. Once it pierced through, it would reveal his weak spot, and Chen Xiang would take the chance to chase after it. He would definitely lose one move. Thus he anxiously retracted his sword to defend. He knew that Chen Xiang's speed was very fast, so he did not give him the chance to use his second sword strike. Just as Song Peng retracted his sword and was about to block, he felt an itch in his throat, followed by a sharp pain that spread out from the itch. At the same time, a terrifying and powerful sword intent surged into his entire body. Clang! Clang! The exquisite divine sword in Song Peng's hand dropped to the ground. The back of his hand suddenly had sword scars. His entire body was suddenly covered with sword scars. Even his back was covered with the beautiful sword hall clothes. His clothes were already tattered, blood flowed out and fell from his hands. Yet Chen Xiang's sword had already pierced through Song Peng's throat. Song Peng's eyes were suddenly open, and at first, his eyes were filled with surprise and puzzlement, but slowly they were filled with fear. All of the disciples of the sword hall were dumbstruck. They did not even see what just happened clearly, so much that they did not see what had just happened, because Chen Xiang was originally only 10 steps away from Song Peng, but in the next moment, Chen Xiang's sword was already at Song Peng's throat, and there were suddenly countless of sword wounds on Song Peng's body, with blood flowing down non-stop. Chen Xiang looked at Song Peng, whose face was filled with fear, and slowly pulled out the sword. He laughed. "I won't kill you, I want you to live in this fear forever." Although Duan Peng's throat was pierced, he was still a profound G.O.D. and would only cause him too much blood and vitality. He would not die. When Chen Xiang's sword left his throat, he knelt down fiercely on the ground as fresh blood gushed out from the hole in his throat. There was still the extremely strong mysterious power in his body, but he was unable to circulate it because he was already intimidated by the fear. Song Peng lost. He lost completely, although he did not die, but this was more painful than death. Song Peng was only a lower-level profound God, but after he broke through, he was directly sent flying to a middle-level profound God. His cultivation was one level higher than Song Peng's, and his strength was that mysterious and terrifying 6 realms power. Chen Xiang looked at the hall master and said with a smile, "This hall master, are you interested in exchanging a few moves with me? He's too weak, it's not fun fighting him." "You!" Chen Xiang was provoking his sword hall, and he was acting so arrogantly inside his sword hall to the point that he was going crazy. Seeing the trembling Song Peng kneeling on the ground, the hall master strongly patted the armrest of his chair, and like a gust of wind, he flew in front of Chen Xiang. A slender divine sword had already appeared in his hands, S.H.I. Ning with a cold light. Enough, he has already passed, said the trial. A voice suddenly sounded. Then, a translucent image appeared in front of Chen Xiang. It was an old man wearing a white robe. Chen Xiang didn't mind another fight with the hall master. Since he had broken through to middle profound G.O.D., he wanted to fight to his heart's content to test his current strength. When the old man appeared, the angry hall master calmed down. Even though he was the hall master, he was still an inexperienced young man, far from someone like Chen Xiang. Follow me. The shadow suddenly flashed and arrived at the other side of the hall. It was a stone door. After he walked over, the stone door automatically opened. Chen Xiang could tell that the old man had released his power to open the stone door. As the first person to have said through the trial and entered the Supreme Divine Palace, Sword Hall had now experienced how terrifying and arrogant it was. Song Ping had already been carried away to recuperate from his injuries, and even though his injuries could quickly recover, the fear that was in the bottom of his heart could not be wiped away, as it might accompany him for the rest of his life. Sing through the stone door, Chen Xiang followed the old man through a wide passage and arrived at a bright secret room. Inside the room was an old man, who was the clone of the mysterious man. The moment the shadow entered, it disappeared. The old man looked at Chen Xiang and smiled. "Your name is Chen Xiang, right?" The old man looked at Yue. He seemed to have noticed something, but he didn't say anything. Chen Xiang nodded his head. He had caused so much trouble outside that it was not strange for Supreme Divine Palace to know his name. After Chen Xiang sat down, the old man said, "I have some understanding of your situation. After all, you possess the two taboo magic the GOD murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy. We had been paying close attention to you since a long time ago, so the sword attack you used earlier should be a 7 devil slaying kung fu that was a little similar to the GOD murdering sword technique." After Chen Xiang sat down, the old man said, "I have some understanding of your situation. After all, you possess the two taboo magic the GOD murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy. We had been paying close attention to you since a long time ago, so the sword attack you used earlier should be a 7 devil slaying kung fu that was a little similar to the GOD murdering sword technique." Chen Xiang nodded. The Supreme Divine Palace was the base camp of the Supreme GOD, so Chen Xiang was not surprised at all when he knew about this. "According to what I know, there are still many things that you should not have resolved outside, and after joining the Supreme Divine Palace, you are not allowed to leave, unless you can complete one of the challenges within the Supreme Divine Palace in the future, so that you can freely enter and exit the Supreme Divine Palace." The old man said again. Chen Xiang frowned. "Is the challenge going to be easy?" The old man laughed. "Let's put it this way, at least I did not succeed, although I am an elder of the Supreme Divine Palace." Chen Xiang's expression changed, and asked again, "So that means I have to make a choice now, either join the Supreme Divine Palace or choose to give up." The elder shook his head. "Didn't you already make your choice?" Chen Xiang curled his lips and said, "I didn't know when I chose to partake. 1p8 in the trial. If I had known, I wouldn't have joined the Supreme Divine Palace." The old man laughed. "It's not your turn now, you must join Supreme Divine Palace." Chen Xiang was a little angry. He only wanted to challenge this trial, but he did not know that he would not be able to leave if the Supreme Divine Palace came in. "Don't worry, we will give you 2 years' time to get rid of everything outside. When the time comes, you must come to Supreme Divine Palace." The old man replied, 2 years should be enough time for you to settle all these matters. Furthermore, there will be chaos outside, so with 2 taboo magic you will definitely be in danger." 2 years of time was indeed enough, but Chen Xiang just couldn't bear to part with his women. Why is there such a chaos outside? Does your Supreme Divine Palace not care? Chen Xiang asked. The chaos in the Gods realm was not a joke. Only when the Supreme Divine Palace made a move could he stabilize his body. We can't do anything about it. The three great temples won't intervene at that time. The old man said, when the time comes, you must come to Supreme Divine Palace. Even if you did not come on time, we would have still sent people to capture you. Chen Xiang was extremely confused. Supreme Divine Palace, Six Realms Divine Palace and Beast Divine Palace were all places that were gathered by the Gods, yet they could not lock them down. The old man laughed. I know what you are thinking, although we are a bit too powerful, but not as terrifying as you think we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to spend so many years building this SPAC that is separated from the Gods realm. To tell you the truth, we are hiding here to avoid this chaos. Yue said, Old man, are you saying that the divine prison can't hold on any longer? Little cat, you are from Beast Divine Palace, right? Hee, how could you be together with this brat? The elder wanted to touch Yuer's head, but Yue made a meow sound before dodging away, causing the elder to feel a bit awkward. Yue flew to Chen Xiang's hands and said, Old man, are you guys unable to control Divine Prison's group? The old man sighed. That's right, those fellows from Divine Prison and the rest are just as we expected. Some of them have already become 2Gods. As long as the numbers continue to rise, it wouldn't be long before they work together to destroy the entire Divine Prison and then run out. There were so many terrifying villains locked up in the Divine Prison. After being locked up for so long, they had Mulat a lot of resentment, and the ones imprisoning them were all the primal Gods like the Supreme Divine Palace. Back then, they couldn't exterminate the group of villains, which was why they were sealed within the Divine Prison. The old man said, The fellows that we had infiltrated into the Divine Prison back then were all extraordinary geniuses. All of the Hall Masters in the Gods realm were unable to suppress them, which was why we acted. Those people that we were unable to kill were all sealed within the Divine Prison, and they would think of ways to cultivate within the Divine Prison. Chen Xiang said with a look of despise on his face, This is a disaster that you two have caused. At the time of the accident, you guys actually went into hiding and let the innocent people above Gods realm suffer from it. Don't worry, although we don't care, but the other powers will. It's not like the three halls are the only ones watching the Gods realm. The other large powers similar to us will definitely not let it be destroyed so easily. Aside from the three divine halls in Gods realm, there were actually other mysterious and powerful forces. The old man said, Actually, our Supreme Divine Palace is the same as the 9 Divine Kings back then. We want to create a world that belongs to us, but it's not as grand as the 9 Heaven worlds. Both the Beast Divine Palace and the 6 Realms Divine Palace have this kind of small world. When he thought about how he had to hide here at that time, Chen Xiang felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. Then let me out now. Chen Xiang said, When that time comes, just send someone to pick me up. The old man nodded, with a wave of his sleeve. He sent Chen Xiang away. Chen Xiang left the Supreme Divine Palace, and the place he appeared in was actually the place where he and Yue had shared the 9 energies fruit previously. The moment he and Yue had appeared, they had sensed a few auras. It's him and this cat. I won't forget them even if I die. Li Zhonghan shouted. When Chen Xiang and Yue stepped into the Black Lake, Li Zhonghan and the few pill Gods immediately rushed over. However, the Black Lake had already disappeared. It's been 80 years. It's finally your turn. Quickly hand over the 9 oddity divine fruit. Li Zhonghan shouted. Chen Xiang looked at this group of people. The strongest was only Yiqin, she was a super profound God, and Li Zhonghan was only at the peak of the middle profound Yi Qin frowned, because he did not change his appearance at the moment. You are Chen Xiang. After Yi Qin confirmed it, he couldn't help but take a few steps back. After all, Chen Xiang understood how to deal with the terrifying God murdering sword techniques and the 7 devil-slaying kung fu. That's right, said indifferently. He had already guessed that they were here to retrieve the 9 strange divine fruits, and he knew that he had stayed in the trial grounds for 8 years, but 80 years had said outside. He had lost another 70 years, and he couldn't help but curse in his heart that the Supreme Divine Palace had tricked him for so much time. Chen Xiang said, "It's been 80 years, and yet you guys are still bitterly waiting here. You sure have perseverance." Li Zhonghan coldly snorted, "Don't think that just because you're Chen Xiang, you don't need to return it to us. Let me tell you, because there is a pill God that urgently needs the 9 strange divine fruit, that's why he gave such a high price to search for it. If you don't give it to me, even if that pill God doesn't kill you, I will still kill you." Chen Xiang laughed coldly. "I took away the 9 strange divine fruit on my own accord. Who asked you to be so weak, and the 9 strange divine fruit didn't even have your names carved on it. So what if it's yours, your father won't give it to you, what can you do to me?" Li Zhonghan was furious. It would have been fine if it were just some pill God or some powerful God realm being as arrogant as him, but the arrogant one in front of him was Chen Xiang, and his cultivation was also very low. He was only a true God previously, although it had been 80 years, but he felt that Chen Xiang was just a upper true God. Li Zhonghan was furious. It would have been fine if it were just some pill God or some powerful God realm being as arrogant as him, but the arrogant one in front of him was Chen Xiang, and his cultivation was also very low. He was only a true God previously, although it had been 80 years, but he felt that Chen Xiang was just a upper true God. Yi Qin did not think that way. Although she did not understand Chen Xiang, she knew that Chen Xiang's pill refining skills were very good. An alchemist who had a high level of cultivation would usually use a large amount of pills to make herself stronger. She was not able to see through Chen Xiang's strength right now, but she could tell that Chen Xiang was very confident. Yi Qin thought carefully, and after thinking about it carefully, he decided to stay away from this place, because it was not a good thing to clash with Chen Xiang right now. "Let's go. We can report this back," Yi Qin said to Li Zhonghan, and pulled at Li Zhonghan, who was about to flare up. Yi Qin's words stung Li Zhonghan, which made him think that Yi Qin was underestimating him and was trying to show off. Furthermore, Li Zhonghan had brought a few profound GODs with him, which made him even more confident. "Chen Xiang, I'll give you one more chance. If you still don't hand over the 9 strange divine fruit." Before Li Zhonghan even finished speaking, Chen Xiang had already taken out his God slaughtering sword. "No need to give me that chance. 80 years have said, and I've already eaten all 9 of the divine fruit. How am I supposed to take them out?" "Ha ha!" Chen Xiang laughed. "You're courting death." Li Zhonghan shouted angrily as his arm moved forward like a phantom. It was extremely fast, and it looked like he wanted to slap Chen Xiang. He had to admit that this Li Zhonghan still had some skills, but Chen Xiang, who had the strength of a middle profound God, simply did not view Li Zhonghan as a worthy opponent. When Li Zhonghan's palm struck over, Chen Xiang also quickly swung his sword, chopping at Li Zhonghan's arm. "Ah!" Li Zhonghan cried out in pain as his palm fell to the ground, but blood didn't flow out. Smoke was rising from his wound, because Chen Xiang's God slaughtering sword was extremely hot. "Young master." The few profound GODs who were with Li Zhonghan turned pale with fright. Without saying a word, they retrieved their weapons and attacked Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang raised his eyebrows, and after he sneered, he was no longer where he was before. When he appeared, he was already behind Li Zhonghan, and there were a few BLOOD Why holes on the bodies of the other profound gods 7 devil-slaying kung fu? Yi Qin was shocked. Chen Xiang's technique was extremely terrifying. She had long heard of it, and anxiously shouted out, "Chen Xiang, he is the son of the God, if you were to." Before Yi Qin could finish his words, he saw Chen Xiang's God slaughtering sword piercing into the back of Li Zhonghan's neck, and even kicking out with great force towards Li Zhonghan's waist. Boom! Chen Xiang exerted all his strength to kick him, and a burst of lightning struck down. In the blink of an eye, Li Zhonghan's waist was also blasted into pieces. Bang! Li Zhonghan's body flew out and smashed into a large tree. Chen Xiang immediately dodged and fiercely stepped on the struggling Li Zhonghan's chest. Chen Xiang's kick was like a giant pillar amaze. Hi+ing into the earth, the 6 realms' power roared from within his body and ignited an extremely berserk energy, causing Chen Xiang's kick to be extremely powerful, stepping on it to the point that Li Zhonghan coughed out blood and the ground was overturned several times. "Miss Yi, let's quickly leave. Even if we join forces, we would still not be a match for Chen Xiang, let alone Li Zhonghan, who does not listen to our advice." They secretly praised Yi Qin. If Yi Qin had wanted to capture Chen Xiang just now, like Li Zhonghan, they would definitely do the same. When that time came, they would have died in the same way as the profound God lying on the ground. Yi Qin and the few profound gods who came with her had all seen how terrifying Chen Xiang was. To be able to kill Li Zhonghan and the rest in a matter of seconds was indeed not something they could afford to offend. "Let's go." Yi Qin made her decision immediately. Just as she was about to leave, she saw Chen Xiang shouting from afar, "Wait!" After Chen Xiang finished speaking, he kicked the half-dead Li Zhonghan over, and very accurately landed beside Yi Qin's feet. Yi Qin lowered her head to look at Li Zhonghan, and couldn't help but frown. Fortunately, she was also someone who had experienced hundreds of battles. "Bring this guy back, he should be able to be saved." Chen Xiang laughed coldly. "Go back and tell those few gods that I got the 9 oddity divine fruit first and that it was mine first. I hope they don't make any mistakes, and I don't want to be enemies with them." Li Zhonghan was indeed still alive, but her divine deity had already been taken away by Chen Xiang. To profound God, this was a very cruel thing because it was equivalent to being crippled, and it felt worse than dying. "Take him away." Yi Qin did not reply. He instructed a few profound gods beside him to lift Li Zhonghan up and then use an array disc to leave. Chen Xiang looked at Yue, who was flying in the sky, and asked, "Do you still want to walk around with me?" Yue shook her head. "No need, I want to go meet Beast Divine Palace. If what that old man said is true, I must return to Beast Divine Palace and meet him again if fate wills it." Chen Xiang nodded at her. "Take care." Yue disappeared in a flash. Chen Xiang sighed softly and then teleported away. Long Shui was still in deep sleep, and she had slept for far too long this time around. It did not seem that it was because she had eaten the divine fruit of the 9 wonders. According to Long Shui's refining speed, in the 8 years of the trial, it should be enough time for her to refine the divine fruit of 9 wonders. It's already been 80 years, I wonder how that Xiao Chou fellow is doing. Chen Xiang was extremely worried for Xiao Chou, because Chen Xiang was also partic. 1p. aiding in this kind of trial like him. He had said the trial, but he also deeply understood just how terrifying this trial was. After a few teleportations, he arrived at the shop in God's city. To his surprise, the shop had been sold 50 years ago. He quickly asked around, but did not expect Feng Yujie to leave the Divine Female Palace 50 years ago. At that time, she was expelled by the Divine Female Palace because of a conflict with a Pill God, and because she offended a Pill God, she was now envied by the Pill God. In order to curry favor with the Pill God, some of the stronger gods swore to arrest her. Why did Feng Yujie clash with the Pil God? Chen Xiang didn't hear about it. He only knew that there was a huge battle at that time in the Divine Female Palace, and that both Feng Yujie and the Pil God were heavily injured. LV Qilian and the other girls who were running the shop also transferred their stores and left God's city. Seems like I can only make a trip back to the devil-killing Divine City. Chen Xiang looked at the towering Divine Female Palace, then quickly proceeded towards the transmitting square. After arriving at the transmitting square, he had actually found out that none of the Divine Cities were allowed to enter the devil-killing Divine City. Before Chen Xiang had entered the trial grounds, he had already known that HELL Devil Emperor and his forces had revived and even took revenge on devil-killing Divine City. After asking around, he found out that the reason why all Divine Cities had not released their transmission array to devil-killing Divine City was indeed related to this matter, because devil-killing Divine City was currently being attacked by a large group of evil monsters that HELL Devil Emperor had brought along. Before Chen Xiang had entered the trial grounds, he had already known that HELL Devil Emperor and his forces had revived and even took revenge on devil-killing Divine City. After asking around, he found out that the reason why all Divine Cities had not released their transmission array to devil-killing Divine City was indeed related to this matter, because devil-killing Divine City was currently being attacked by a large group of evil monsters that HELL Devil Emperor had brought along. Most of the people in the devil-killing Divine City had already left, and currently, only the devil-killing Divine Palace's disciples were stubbornly guarding the tattered Divine City, so they were at a disadvantage. Why didn't the all-Divine Palaces help him? Chen Xiang asked an old man. The old man was a tea-house guest, and was also a profound God. Chen Xiang had chatted with him at the tea-house. All Divine Palaces felt that it was a grudge between devil-killing Divine Palace and herself, so she didn't make a move. I think that most of the Divine Gods in devil-killing Divine Palace felt that devil-killing Divine Palace was too much of a hindrance, and wanted devil-killing Divine Palace to fall completely. The old man said. Chen Xiang drank a few cups of tea and chatted with the old man for a while before he teleported to the closest city to devil-killing Divine City and hurried back to devil-killing Divine City. With the support of the Supreme God, the HELL Devil Emperor quickly developed a strong power. In order to stabilize his power and position in the Gods realm, the first thing he needed to do was to eliminate the devil-killing Divine Palace. Chen Xiang could already see the evil spirit of the devil-killing Divine City in the distance, covered by the haze. The tall city walls surrounding the city were already full of holes, and at the moment, there were still a large number of evil demons standing on top of the city walls. All Divine Palaces and the rest of the idiots here, after we destroy the threat of devil-killing Divine Palace, they will definitely target the other powerful divine halls. Don't you think they still don't know about HELL Devil Emperor's ambitions? Chen Xiang teleported over and appeared in the city. Aside from the fact that the devil-killing Divine Palace was still unharmed, the rest of the buildings in the city were already in tatters. The ground had split open and there were a large number of bottomless ravines. Chen Xiang looked at the black cloud in the sky, which was releasing evil qi, causing the evil demons hidden inside the city to absorb the evil qi and quickly become stronger. The undead who died in this place would all rush into the black clouds. This was the most familiar tactic used by the HELL Devil Emperor to guard the infernal realm and use the departed souls to quickly obtain strength. This cloud has been here for many years. It must be scattered. When the sunlight nest down, it can also kill those evil monsters. It should be able to weaken their power. Chen Xiang stared at the black clouds in the sky, his fists tightly clenched, releasing traces of golden lightning. Heavenly refining great universe. Chen Xiang shouted lightly, and the 6 realms' power on his body immediately surged. Golden light erupted from his body, causing him to emit blazing light like the sun. In that moment, a huge golden barrier suddenly appeared, enveloping the entire devil-killing divine city. Chen Xiang had just inspected his surroundings. The H.E.L. Devil Emperor's base camp was very far away. Although there were many demons and monsters entering the devil-killing divine city, they all hid themselves to cultivate, absorbing the evil chi released by the black cloud in the sky. The huge barrier released by Chen Xiang was like a gigantic magic method furnace, shrouding the entire city. He was already very familiar with refining this kind of demonic energy, but it was just that he needed to refine a lot of things now. With the support of the 6 realms' power, refining this kind of demonic energy on such a large scale would not be difficult. Very soon, a set of silver flames appeared on the huge black cloud. This was the Chuangzhou fire released by Chen Xiang's life force technique, and under the activation of the 6 realms' power, it became even hotter, burning even more intensely. Very quickly, it turned the sky above devil-killing divine city into a sea of fire. Amongst the devil-killing divine palace, W.A.N.G. Jeans, H.I. Plus shouted in shock. Master, quickly look up there, what is going on? Ren Tianyong and Yuan Baibing felt a very familiar feeling when they saw this flame. When devil-killing heavenly God saw it, he said in pleasant surprise, "It's Chen Xiang's Chuangzhou fire, this little demon pause," said the trial. He did not die. Devil-killing heavenly God was very excited, her voice trembling a little. The disciples of the devil-killing divine palace saw a silver-white flame burning in the sky. That kind of holy silver light made them feel much better. 80 years. What has he been doing? W.A.N.G. Jeans. H.I. Plus was also very happy, but he was a little worried because H.E.L. Devil Emperor had been looking for Chen Xiang. Let's quickly go out and cooperate with him so that we won't be disturbed by the H.E.L. Devil Emperor and move out. Devil-killing heavenly God said, and then he quickly flew over with a large group of devil-killing divine palace disciples. Chen Xiang was currently using the heavenly alchemy, and it was on a very large scale at that. He needed some time, so it would naturally be best if there was someone protecting him. All of you, come up. Chen Xiang's consciousness was like a huge net covering down, enveloping all the hidden demons and monsters. Following that, he used the Tai Chi refining, causing a huge Taiji array to immediately appear in the sea of fire in the sky. The countless evil demons on the ground immediately floated up, and were pulled in by the force. Chen Xiang, who had activated his 6 realms power with all his might, had already unleashed the heavenly alchemy to its limit. A large number of evil and evil monsters quickly floated up and were sucked into the sea of flames. Refine! Chen Xiang roared, the sound resonated in all directions, the might of it shook the entire world. The evil demons that were still struggling in the sea of flames instantly turned into ashes, after that they quickly condensed into a white pill. Devil-killing heavenly God and the rest who were Rus. H.I. Plusing oversaw that, and were extremely shocked. They did not expect Chen Xiang to end the battle so quickly. The H.E.L. Devil Emperor is here, we don't need to fight with them for now. Devil-killing heavenly God came to Chen Xiang's side, grabbed him and immediately returned to devil-killing divine palace. Devil-killing divine city had been shrouded by dark clouds for many years, and at this time, the sunlight was H.I. plus ning down on the devil-killing divine city. Although it had already turned into ruins, this meant that it would end very soon. Inside the devil-killing divine palace, Chen Xiang looked at Ren Tianyong and the others, and laughed. Long time no see, how could you guys be like this? What about the fat 5th brother? Dead, 5th and 9th brothers are all dead. Devil-killing heavenly God Di said dejectedly. Zhu Chao, Zhu Ming and his wife have still not been found out. Sigh, if not, we wouldn't be in such a miserable state. The two sons and daughter-in-law of the devil-killing heavenly G.O. Di were the main force. Now, Chun Xiang understood why the devil-killing divine city had become like this. Fortunately, W.A.N.G. genes, HI Plus and the others had already been promoted to the level of G.O.D., and there were also the other 10 disciples from the second bat. The strength of the devil-killing divine palace was still very strong, but after battling with the HEL Devil Emperor for so many years, his strength had been gradually reduced by a large amount, and the HEL Devil Emperor actually had a steady supply of support. The other temples aren't helping? When Chun Xiang saw Tai Chong walking in, he nodded and greeted him. Devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. said helplessly, if I don't help, penalty heavenly G.O.D. will be in deep trouble as well. He will be tied down by a huge burden and won't be able to help me. The Fire Divine Palace, Wealth Divine Palace, and the War God Shrine have absolutely no way of helping me. The penalty heavenly God was unable to come to help, and it proved that what the old man said was true. The divine prison could not hold it in any longer, so he was probably preparing to destroy the divine prison. The fact that the devil-killing divine palace was forced to such a state showed that the HELL Devil Emperor was very strong. With the secret support of the Supreme God, it would not be difficult for them to destroy the other shrines in the Gods realm. The fact that the devil-killing divine palace was forced to such a state showed that the HELL Devil Emperor was very strong. With the secret support of the Supreme God, it would not be difficult for them to destroy the other shrines in the Gods realm. Devil-killing heavenly God said, Chun Xiang, even though your current strength is very strong, the power HELL Devil Emperor has right now is not something you can imagine. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in such a miserable state. Chun Xiang looked out the window at the ruins and said, Then what do we do now? If this goes on, we won't be able to do anything. We can't leave here temporarily. Can't we come back later? Devil-killing heavenly God shook his head. If I could have left, I would have definitely left, but I definitely cannot leave now, because right now, HELL Devil Emperor's primary target is us. Once our devil-killing divine palace dissolves, HELL Devil Emperor has no target, the consequences can be imagined. The devil-killing heavenly God was doing this for the sake of the entire Gods realm. Chun Xiang thought about it carefully. If it wasn't for the fact that the devil-killing heavenly God was holding on here, the 9-heaven world might have already fallen. The reason the devil-killing heavenly God created the Devil Slayer art was to deal with this kind of evil demon, the HELL Devil Emperor, so of course he couldn't show weakness. There's really no other way. W.A.N.G. genes. HI Plus side, she had already made up her mind. Originally, she and the 10 junior brothers and sisters were together, but now only the 3 of them were left. From the moment they joined the devil-killing divine palace, they had already had this kind of awareness, and would definitely fight the demons to the death. Devil-killing heavenly God frowned and took a deep breath. Yes, the only way is to find helpers. Chun Xiang, are you willing to take the risk? Chun Xiang immediately nodded his head. Of course I am willing. I am also a part of devil-killing divine palace, moreover HELL Devil Emperor is also my sworn enemy. When I first entered the Super G.O.D. restricted area, I met a few friends there, all of whom were close friends of life and death. They also promised me at the time that once I was in trouble, they would definitely help me out. However, I can't go there myself now. I can only let you notify them in my stead. Super G.O.D. De-restricted area was an extremely terrifying place, and everyone in the hall was emotionally moved after hearing that. How do we find them? Of course, Chen Xiang was not afraid of going to that place. Supreme Divine Palace's trial was so terrifying, but he was able to pass it, so the devil-killing heavenly God believed that Chen Xiang would be able to complete it. The devil-killing heavenly God had always had this thought, but there was only one person who had a chance of entering the super God restricted area and finding his friends. The reason why he couldn't go there by himself was because once he left, the Devil Emperor would launch a surprise attack and no one would be able to resist him. This is my token. Give it to them and they will believe you. Devil-killing heavenly God said a white jade tiger to Chen Xiang. Where are they in super God restricted area? Chen Xiang asked again. I don't know, I only know that they are still in super God restricted area. You have to find them as soon as possible. Go to super God restricted area. This jade tiger will help you find them. The devil-killing heavenly God said, we have to be fast, we won't be able to hold on for long. Chen Xiang nodded. After keeping the jade tiger, he suddenly heard an angry shout from outside. Chen Xiang, get out here right now. Devil-killing Divine City had been covered by the black clouds for many years, and now that the black clouds had dissipated, it meant that there was a rancor who was secretly dispersing the black clouds, and the person who was shouting outside was Feng Xin. Feng Xin was dressed in a big red robe. His handsome face was filled with anger and coldness. He held a big black machete in his hand, and floated outside the devil-killing divine palace with a murderous look on his face. This guy came so fast. Chen Xiang looked at the tall and stu figure of the Feng Xin outside the window and muttered. What happened? When did you provoke this guy? The devil-killing heavenly God also frowned. Chen Xiang should have just finished the trial, yet this Feng Xin was already here. I crippled his son. Who asked his son to be so arrogant? Just as Chen Xiang finished speaking, a few more figures appeared outside. Devil-killing heavenly God's face was full of astonishment. He knew from a glance that the appearance of these pill Gods definitely had something to do with Chen Xiang. I'll go to super God restricted area first. Main heavenly God will be troubling you guys on the outside. Chen Xiang laughed and then teleported away. Just as devil-killing heavenly God wanted to curse a few words at Chen Xiang, he realized that Chen Xiang had already walked far away. Chen Xiang is not here. Why are you looking for him? Devil-killing heavenly God, Ren Tianyong and the others walked out of the divine palace with divine weapons in their hands, showing that they did not welcome the arrival of Feng Xin and the others. Feng Xin said angrily, I'm going to kill him. Quickly come out and accept your death. Dan God in blue costume said, he took away our 9 strange divine fruits, we want him to return them. The devil-killing heavenly God sneered a few times. So that's how it is, but he really isn't here. Even though he is a member of my devil-killing divine palace, you can't possibly destroy this PPY place of mine just because of him, right? Devil Slayer, you should be clear about your current situation, don't force me to help Devil Emperor. How could he not be angry when his son's divine deity had been removed by Chen Xiang? Devil-killing heavenly God asked indifferently, are you threatening me? Feng Xin said coldly, I'm only asking you to hand Chen Xiang over, I won't make things difficult for you guys, I'll give you another chance. Devil-killing heavenly God took a deep breath and said expressionlessly, I already said that Chen Xiang is not here. Even though I, the old Devil Slayer, was forced to such a state by H.E.L. Devil Emperor, it does not mean that I am afraid of you. With that, devil-killing heavenly God's entire body flashed with a gold light, the powerful aura caused the ground to tremble, the wind to kick up and the anger to the skies turned into a burst of golden astral wind, roaring and wreaking havoc in all directions, setting off bursts of golden lightning. Even the God of Fortune would not dare to act so arrogantly in front of me. Who do you think you are? Devil-killing heavenly God was furious. He turned into a bolt of lightning and suddenly appeared in front of Feng Shen. His withered hand that was filled with divine power was already tightly holding on to Feng Shen's throat. Although Feng Shen had long since been on guard, he was still unable to stop the devil-killing heavenly God's terrifying strength. Right now, he was like a little chick whose neck has been grabbed by someone, and simply had no strength to resist. They were all from the upper heavenly God, but the gap between them was so huge that it shocked the pill Gods beside them. They had all heard of the power of the devil-killing heavenly God, but had never seen it with their own eyes. Feng Shen truly believed that he and devil-killing heavenly God were both upper heavenly Gods, and that devil-killing heavenly God had spent so much time and effort on them, so his vitality would definitely be greatly damaged. He never would have thought that he would be pinched so tightly that he couldn't even fart. Devil Slayer, that should be enough, right? A wave of cold air attacked, and a white ice dragon appeared in the distance. On the head of the dragon stood a youth. It was the God of Fortune. The devil-killing heavenly God grabbed the God of Fortune and threw him over. God of Fortune, take care of your disciple. Feng Shen stood on top of the ice dragon, not even daring to look at devil-killing heavenly God. If they were to leave just like that, it would mean that they were afraid of devil-killing heavenly God. If they did not leave, they were also worried that devil-killing heavenly God would attack them. If they were to leave just like that, it would mean that they were afraid of devil-killing heavenly God. If they did not leave, they were also worried that devil-killing heavenly God would attack them. I've already said it before, if Chen Xiang isn't here, it's up to you guys to believe me or not. Devil-killing heavenly God swept his eyes across the few pill Gods. Right now, he was not afraid of anything at all. They had personally witnessed the devil-killing heavenly God's true strength. Although they were both pill Gods and were quite strong, so it was not impossible for them to defeat the devil-killing heavenly God together, but there was no need for them to do so, and they would also have to pay a huge price. Humph. Seeing that this group of people had left, the devil-killing heavenly God returned to the devil-killing divine palace. Today, after all that had happened, it would be spread out very quickly. Chen Xiang teleported away from the devil-killing divine city, and was already far away from the battlefield. However, the anger and pressure that devil-killing heavenly God felt just now had reached him, which made him extremely shocked, and felt that the devil-killing heavenly God would become a God very soon. Super God restricted area, another Ned place. Chen Xiang sighed. He started to hurry to Super God restricted area. The Super God restricted area was a very big region. It was said that it took up more than half of the God's realm's land, but it was very dangerous, so no one dared to enter. Chen Xiang naturally knew where the Super God restricted area was, but he wanted to find a good entrance. Although the Super God restricted area was dangerous, it was also the place that many explorers liked to go to the most. Over the years, many safe entrances had already been opened, allowing them to safely enter deeper parts of the Super God restricted area. If they entered from other places, they might encounter an unexpected danger and lose their lives. Chen Xiang traveled for a few days and saw a divine city. Just as he was about to go over, a white light flashed and a woman dressed in white appeared in front of him. Shui. The one standing in front of him right now was the Long Shui who had been in a deep sleep for many years. In the past, Long Shui was always a mischievous person with a mischievous smile, giving people a sweet and beautiful feeling. But now, Long Shui in front of him gave off a cold aura. She looked like a lonely and proud winter plum in the snow, filled with a cold and prideful aura, a feeling that prevented others from seeing her for 1,000 miles, making Chen Xiang feel that she was a stranger. "Are you going to the Super G-Ro D-restricted area?" Long Shui asked, her voice also become colder. "Yes." Chen Xiang nodded and asked with a frown, "Shui, what's wrong?" Long Shui took a light breath, and his expression became a lot more relaxed. He shook his head. "I don't know that while I was sleeping I unknowingly recovered some memories. Right now I feel like I have 2 types of memories." Chen Xiang walked over and fiercely held her in his arms, looked at her deeply and solemnly. "Those are not 2 types of memories, but your previous life. But that is already a thing of the past. You are the real you now that you have been reborn. You have to suppress the effects of your previous life's memories on your emotions and personality." Long Shui looked at Chen Xiang in shock, then nodded his head. He leaned his head on Chen Xiang's chest and closed his eyes, following Chen Xiang's instructions. Chen Xiang lightly patted her back. "Shui, you must find yourself again and become my old little naughty dragon." He knew that Long Shui's situation was a little complicated, because the memories of her previous life were only a portion, and they slowly awakened, causing Long Shui's memories to be incomplete. If he inherited the memories of his previous life that could bring about negative emotions, it would be bad for Long Shui. Chen Xiang did not want Long Shui to be like before, cold and indifferent, and bear a deep grudge against him. Just like that, Chen Xiang hugged Long Shui for an entire day and night, and only after hearing Long Shui's playful laughter did Chen Xiang heave a sigh of relief. "Little naughty dragon, you scared me to death." Chen Xiang pinched her face tightly. He chuckled and was already feeling assured. Long Shui smiled sweetly, stood up on her tiptoes and kissed Chen Xiang's lips, then smiled. "Relax, I'm fine now." Chen Xiang nodded and hugged her again. He was still very worried that she would become like before. "You pass," said the trial. "How did you pass?" Long Shui was very interested in Chen Xiang's training. Chen Xiang held her hand and walked toward the divine city in front of them. He slowly told her about what had happened in the trial grounds. It's been decades since we last saw it." Long Shui stuck out his tongue, then laughed. "Fortunately, I got something from sleeping this time. I didn't expect my broken divine soul to be so powerful, to actually absorb each other, and gather all of them together, so I didn't have to look everywhere." "Where are they?" Chen Xiang was also very happy, because searching for these remnant souls for Long Shui was also a headache. Now that they had all gathered together, it would save him a lot of time. "In the Super God restricted area. I died in the Super God restricted area back then, where the residual souls were the most. That's why I ended up gathering in there," Long Shui said. "As far as I know, the Profound Wu clothing is inside there as well. The was created by the 9 divine kings. Profound Wu clothing was the first version of the Profound Wu diamond armor, and it was also the most powerful one. It was created by the 9 divine kings. One could imagine how powerful it was. Chen Xiang's Profound Wu diamond armor was destroyed during the trial, so when he gathered at 4 symbols divine weapons, he already knew where the 4 symbols divine weapons was." "You don't want to enter the ring anymore?" Chen Xiang asked. "I'm not going in, I'm not too weak now." Long Shui waved her fist and laughed. "I'm very powerful now, do you want to try?" Long Shui had not slept for so long for nothing, she had indeed become very strong. I don't know where Sister Qilian and the others went. I didn't manage to find them when I went to the Des city. Chen Xiang wanted them to be prepared, because in 2 years, the divine prison would be destroyed and the villains would come running out. Chen Xiang told Long Shui about how he offended the Pil God and was forced to leave the Des city. Long Shui said, "Don't worry about them, Sister Feng will definitely be with them. Maybe they have already started developing secretly and just want to keep a low profile." Chen Xiang nodded. He raised his head and looked at the gigantic city gate, and read the words, "Divine City Supreme Forbidden," above the city gate. Back then, this divine city was known as the largest and strongest divine city. Part of Long Shui's memories contained the matter of the divine city. The reason why they called themselves Super Restricted Area was also related to the Supreme Forbidden Divine City. And right in front of another gate in the Divine City, there was a safe entrance that led to the Super Restricted Area. In this Divine City, there were many experts who went to the Super Restricted Area to search for treasures every day. They would gather here to prepare and gather sufficient medicinal pellets and to find out where there would be a genius in there. Most of them would use their divine money to buy useful information. In this divine city, there were many experts who went to the Super Restricted Area to search for treasures every day. They would gather here to prepare and gather sufficient medicinal pellets and to find out where there would be a genius in there. Most of them would use their divine money to buy useful information. Teams of them could be seen everywhere, and it was more likely that they would enter together to survive. The reason why Chen Xiang and Long Shui entered the Divine City was obviously not to make preparations, but to check if there were any hidden records left behind by Qilian and the others, and to inquire whether they had come here before. They walked around the Divine City and asked a few waiters in the hotels but didn't find anything related to Qilian and the others. Strange, could it be that they are not selling pills? Where did they go? Or did they already have enough money? Now they can hide somewhere and refine a divine pill to raise their strength. Chen Xiang looked at the table full of sumptuous dishes, but he did not have much appetite. 1 tea. Long Shui was also nibbling on his food. She and Chen Xiang had asked around in the city for at least half a day, and found out that the shop that sold Purple Profound Dan and other famous sacred pills had been closed for a long time. After the shop closed, those famous sacred pills had all disappeared, causing many people to feel extremely regretful. In other words, after Qilian and the others left, they had not sold any more holy pellets, which made Chen Xiang think that they were hiding somewhere. Of course, at this time, the had also spread news of him. As soon as he came back, he crippled Li Zhonghan, infuriated the Feng Shen, and then went to the devil-killing Divine City to refine the black clouds. After that, the devil-killing heavenly D made his move on Feng Shen. Chen Xiang and Long Shui did not manage to learn anything about Qilian and the others, but they did know that an important matter was that the War God Shrine had sent a group of experts into the Super God Restricted Area. We should be full. We need to hurry up and catch up with the War God Shrine. From the information we gathered, the woman they were hunting was most likely by Ziqian or Qilian. Chen Xiang said to Long Shui as he nodded his head. After eating the last dish, he sucked his finger. Chen Xiang understood that the woman being hunted was not very strong. It was most probably because of what the profound Gods did, but the War God Shrine had sent out their Sky God Level S and a group of profound Gods. Don't you want to enter the ring? Chen Xiang asked. Long Shui held onto Chen Xiang's arm and laughed. No need, I want to see from the outside, my current strength is not weak at all. Chen Xiang also wanted to chat and laugh with Long Shui, since Long Shui had sufficient strength now. He didn't need to worry about anything. Let's go. Chen Xiang pulled Long Shui and disappeared from the inn a flash, appearing on a patch of black land that was steaming hot. The area was surrounded by volcanoes that were emitting thick smoke. There were quite a few cracks in the pitch-black ground, and one could clearly see those cracks emitting a red light. This is the safest entrance. Long Shui looked around. The lava here made her feel hot. I don't care about random teleportation right now, we should just follow a safe route first, just in case we teleport to a place where we can't escape. Chen Xiang saw a group of people riding on Frisbee in front of him and confirmed that this was the safe entrance. Back then, Bai Ziqian, Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao had left together, but LV Qinlian was going with little Lizzie. Chen Xiang thought that the one who used the poison was very likely Bai Ziqian, because LV Qinlian and little Lizzie would be together with him. Although it was surrounded by volcanoes, it was indeed a safe entrance. After Chen Xiang and Long Shui carefully said through, they saw a fiery red haze shrouding the land in front of them. After sing through this red fog, you will be able to see the Super God restricted area. As long as you follow this warm stream, you will be able to pass through safely. Chen Xiang pointed ahead, as he and Long Shui saw many people get off the flying discs and enter on foot. A dense red haze covered the world. There was an unending amount of thunder and lightning, causing it to be filled with endless danger. According to the guide for entering Super God restricted area, as long as one followed the warm flow of the volcanoes, one would be able to enter the Super God restricted area safe and sound. With a relaxed expression, Long Shui held hands with Chen Xiang and stepped into the red haze. Even though blood-red lightning constantly flashed inside and eerie howls came from inside, Chen Xiang did not sense any danger inside, as it was indeed very safe. This Super God restricted area is also a place to escape. Many people who have offended the Great Shrine would try their best to drill into this place. Although it is very dangerous inside, it is better than being hunted outside. Long Shui looked around. This place is still covered by the red fog like before. I wonder what changes are going on inside. Only now did Chen Xiang remember that Long Shui was once a powerful divine beast in the Beast Divine Palace. She might even be someone else from the great God level. Shui, do you know about the matters concerning the Beast Divine Palace? You should be from the Beast Divine Palace. Chen Xiang said. Yue told me this. She was the one who ran out of Beast Divine Palace. Yes, back then only Beast Divine Palace gathered a large amount of powerful beasts, but they were all taken care of in the end, huh? Long Shui shook his head. Regarding this matter, I only have a fragmented memory. It gives me a headache just thinking about it. Chen Xiang laughed and caressed her head. Then don't even think about it. I will help you retrieve your incomplete memories very soon. The area that the mist covered was very wide, and was like a barrier that separated Super God restricted area. Chen Xiang wanted to try to use his spatial teleportation, but he was affected by an unstable, strange power, which was why he did not try. It was reasonable to say that after he used the Six Realms power, his use of the spatial laws would become even stronger. But right now, he was still unable to use it in this red fog. This Super God restricted area was initially a place of chaotic battles between GODs, and after the war, they were enveloped by a mysterious power, causing the place to be extremely dangerous and mysterious. Moreover, there were a lot of armor of inherent equipment left behind by strong GODs scattered everywhere. There were also a lot of geniuses and treasures, causing a lot of people to come here to partake. 1p8 in the treasure-seeking trials. 3 days later, Chen Xiang and Long Shui finally cleared the blood-red fog, and a cold current suddenly attacked them, causing them, who possessed a powerful physique, to Hi plus ver. What a terrifying cold power! Long Shui said as his brows furrowed. How can this be? Super God restricted area has become a world of ice and snow. This place was extremely beautiful in the past. It shouldn't have been like this even after the battle. Chen Xiang could not help but hi plus ver. With the supreme d bone s in this state, wouldn't it be even worse if his other bodies were weaker? He and Long Shui had already seen many people lying on the ground, frozen in front of them. In order to prevent himself from being frozen in such pain, Chen Xiang channeled the Chuangzhou fire in his body to protect himself as well as to release the SPAC domain at the same time, isolating him and Long Shui from the cold outside. In order to prevent himself from being frozen in such pain, Chen Xiang channeled the Chuangzhou fire in his body to protect himself as well as to release the SPAC domain at the same time, isolating him and Long Shui from the cold outside. This kind of ice-cold power is too terrifying. What exactly is the reason for it? Chen Xiang could not help but ponder. He looked at Long Shui. Do you have any impression of him? Long Shui shook his head. No, when I was dying, this place was at most a little shabby, but there should still be a lot of trees. I never thought it would become like this. Let me feel this cold energy. I feel that it's a bit strange. You can feel it for yourself. Maybe you will be able to discover something. Long Shui told Chen Xiang to leave the SPAC domain. After Chen Xiang withdrew, he only felt a little cold because he had already used the flames to warm his body. I don't see anything wrong with it. Chen Xiang took in a few deep breaths of cold air and felt nothing special in his body. There are two types of icy cold power here. Although both of them are icy cold power S, they all have different special abilities. For example, one of them possesses the power to revive. As long as you cover one object, you can absorb the energy of heaven and earth to strengthen yourself, causing the air here to become colder and colder, while the other type constantly devours the other icy cold power S to strengthen, and then release even stronger cold energy. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang crouched down and grabbed a piece of ice, crushed it with great force, and then used flames to burn it. Then, using his spirit essence to examine it, he discovered that there were indeed two threads of origin power wrapped around it. The two different icy cold power S relied on each other, causing the super God restricted area to become so cold over the years. There must be a source. As long as we can find the source, we'll be able to figure out what's going on. Long Shui's face suddenly became serious, as though this matter was very important to her. Chen Xiang took out the jade tiger that the devil-killing heavenly God had given him. Sensing that jade tiger was trembling slightly, he pointed the jade tiger in several directions, and one of the directions shook the most violently, indicating that there was someone he needed to look for. Let's go find our friends from devil-killing heavenly God first, nodded. Helping the devil-killing divine palace escape was a top priority, so Chen Xiang had no choice but to put aside the matter of finding Bai Ziqian. Moreover, once the group of experts from the War God Shrine entered, there was no further news. Chen Xiang and Long Shui realized that the other people who had entered were actually walking in the same direction as them. Furthermore, they were all in the same group as well, so they didn't recognize any of these small teams. At first, Chen Xiang and Long Shui thought that their ties had been exposed. This group of people were following them, but after they deliberately slowed down, the 100 of them still headed towards that direction. After walking for a good half a day, Chen Xiang and Long Shui finally understood that there was actually a small city built out of ice in front of them. Chen Xiang and Long Shui had not asked around about anything after entering the Super God restricted area, so they did not know about this small city. The buildings of the small city were all made of ice. Some were tall, some were short, all were very solid. The roads were made of white ice, and the entire city was covered with a vast expanse of white. Chen Xiang and Long Shui walked along an ice path as they said a shop. Suddenly, they saw something that made them feel as if they were struck by lightning. That thing was really the profound being that they were very familiar with. In the 9 heaven worlds' mysterious profound cold ancient realm, there were many of these profound being, and this type of profound being contained a very strange cold energy. These profound being had a very strong defense that could block soul consciousness from entering. If these profound being were to be broken through, there was a definite chance that a genius earthly treasure would appear inside. Back then, Chen Xiang had used the Chaos Divine Eye to look at this kind of profound being and obtained a lot of treasures. Seeing that the profound being had appeared here, Chen Xiang and Long Shui both had a wild guess that this might be the profound cold ancient realm. Profound cold ancient realm was also originally very beautiful, with a large number of strange flowers and herbs, because she became like this after a Go-delay battle. And Super Go-D restricted area became like this just because of a Go-delay battle. No, back then the White Tiger said that that place was frozen only later on, and when the Go-D battle began, it started much earlier than Chi-S, Hi Plus and the others. Chen Xiang frowned. So this isn't the same place. Long Shui nodded his head. After I was reborn in 9 heaven world, my profound cold ancient realm had not been frozen yet. That was only when the ice was sealed later on, and the ice was also sealed due to the death of a Go-D who used cold energy. Or perhaps it's 2Go-delay. However, this kind of profound being should be caused by the same type of cold energy. There must be a connection between these two places. Chen Xiang faintly felt that this place had a path to the profound cold ancient realm. It was a mysterious path that led to the 9 heaven world. Long Shui nodded. It's possible, I can only wait until I retrieve my complete memories. I sensed it, it's somewhere in the vicinity. Chen Xiang looked at the profound beings in the shop. He was looking at them with the Chaos Divine Eye, and Long Shui was the same. Back then, she was the one who said down the Chaos Divine Eye to Chen Xiang, so she was very proficient in it. This one has something. Long Shui sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang, and the voice carried pleasant surprise. Can you tell what it is? It's an inferior grade divine medicine, beast strength divine fruit. Chen Xiang said. As long as you absorb the beast-type beast core into this divine fruit, you will be able to possess the power of that beast, but it is only temporary. Long Shui nodded. Buy it. As long as it was a divine medicine that Chen Xiang did not have, he would buy it. How much is this? Chen Xiang patted a piece of profound being and asked. 50,000 gold coins. Since you asked, you should have asked. If you're lucky, you might get more than 50,000 gold coins in return. Even 500 million is possible. An old man chuckled. Chen Xiang nodded his head. Even though this is my first time here, I have long heard of it. He bought 3 pieces in one go. After giving him the divine money, the old man broke the record without Chen Xiang's permission. After the profound being was broken through, it became a pile of dust, the same as what was found in the profound cold ancient realm. This is divine medicine. Just as he was about to pick it up, it was taken away by Long Shui. The old man's face was filled with regret as he looked at Chen Xiang unwillingly. This is a divine medicine. Chen Xiang laughed. Of course I know, I never thought my luck would be so good. The old man said with a sad face, Your luck is too good. This small city can sell ice for at most 3,000 yuan a day. Sometimes you can't get any treasures out of it for a month, and you can get some divine medicines. The old man's startled shout had already spread throughout the entire small city. Many shops selling profound beings had rushed over. They initially did not believe it, but after seeing the old man's regretful face turning green, they immediately believed it. If they sold a piece of profound beings with divine medicine inside, they would do the same. What divine medicine is it? Take it out for me to see. Let's open our eyes. It's been a long time since I've talked about the treasures that came out of the ice. Chen Xiang and Long Shui were surrounded by a large group of people, as though they would not be able to leave until they took out some divine medicine to open their eyes. Long Shui took out the beast spirit fruit and said, "Did you see that? It's just this fruit. I don't even know what kind of divine medicine it is. Can you let us go now?" When everyone saw it, they could not tell what it was. Long Shui kept the fruits well. After the crowd dispersed, they suddenly saw a group of people rushing over. Seeing this group of people, Chen Xiang's and Long Shui's heart jumped, because they were the experts of the War God shrine. "The divine medicine is here. I want to take a look as well," a youth who was walking in front said. As expected, the War God shrine sent out their GODs. The profound GODs had 20 of them as well, which was a very strong force, while the youth walking in the front was a super profound GOD. He was the kind of man who wanted to become a GOD and was not weak at all. "Young Master Yuan, it's this man and woman. That divine medicine seems to be of high quality." The old man pointed at Chen Xiang and Long Shui. Young Master Yuan of the War God shrine was very famous here because he had been here several times. Every time he had come, he would buy a large number of profound Bing. After young Master Yuan walked over, he looked at Chen Xiang and Long Shui, and his gaze finally fell on Long Shui's body. Long Shui and Chen Xiang had changed their appearances and looked like ordinary people, but young Master Yuan's gaze towards Long Shui was strange, as if he had seen a treasure. "It's a dragon, but I can't see what it is." Clearly, young Master Yuan had sent him a mental message, telling him to confirm the matter. Young Master Yuan laughed. "A dragon, and a female dragon at that. That's great. If we catch her, she'll definitely be better than the GOD of Fortune's ice dragon. I want her to become my female slave." Hearing that, Chen Xiang and Long Shui were enraged. They knew that young Master Yuan's status was not low. If not, the heavenly GOD would not listen to him. "Let's go." Chen Xiang pulled Long Shui and immediately teleported away, but he was blocked by the GOD. This GOD from the War God Hall wasn't an ordinary GOD either. He was actually able to determine the direction of Chen Xiang's teleportation. Long Shui immediately entered Chen Xiang's ring. Both she and Chen Xiang had not expected that young Master Yuan and the GOD of Heaven would actually be able to see through her true form. "You are all members of the War God shrine. Why would you do such a despicable thing?" Chen Xiang said in a heavy voice. "We are only catching dragons, not humans. How can this be considered despicable? Aren't all beasts supposed to be so easily caught?" Young Master Yuan saw that Long Shui had disappeared, and was not anxious at all. He laughed. "That twin dragon is pretty close to you, hee after SNATCing her away from your side, seeing you in such pain, I will be even more happy." The ice dragon was now the mount of the God of Fortune, and Black Turtle had been chased before. Now that he knew there was a female dragon, forget about young Master Yuan from the War God shrine wanting it, even profound God with a little strength wanted to help him. The ice dragon was now the mount of the God of Fortune, and Black Turtle had been chased before. Now that he knew there was a female dragon, forget about young Master Yuan from the War God shrine wanting it, even profound God with a little strength wanted to help him. "I won't let you take her away." Chen Xiang looked at the surrounding profound God. Although they were all profound GODs from the War God shrine, he did not put them in his eyes. Young Master Yuan laughed. "I, Yuan Taiyang, will definitely get what I want. If you know what's good for you, obediently release her and come into contact with the master-servant contract. This is your last chance." The old man selling the profound Bing said, "You should hand over the dragon. Young Master Yuan is the eldest son of Baijan, the Pill God of the War God shrine. You cannot offend the super-profound God. Chen Xiang had already clenched his fists tightly. Making him hand Long Shui over was tantamount to letting him die, something he couldn't do. If you hand over the dragon and join the war God shrine, I'll give you a good position. Young Master Yuan had already walked over, while the God of heaven behind him released a strong divine might, wanting to intimidate Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang said coldly, "What if I don't give it to you?" Young Master Yuan sneered, "You won't die even if you don't give me one. But I will catch you and cut your flesh off bit by bit until you give me one." Young Master Yuan wanted to do it himself, because Chen Xiang posed no threat to him at all. After all, there was a powerful heavenly God behind him, and if anything went wrong, he would be able to stop him at such a close distance. "I will shout 3 times. 1, 2, 3. After young Master Yuan shouted, he took out a sharp sword and was about to attack, but then something strange happened. Chen Xiang suddenly disappeared and his body released a terrifying sword intent. God killing sword. The face of the war God shrine's Empyrean God of war paled. He wanted to attack, but it was too late. Chen Xiang, who had suddenly disappeared, appeared again, but the sword in his hand had already pierced into young Master Yuan's chest. His voice was filled with anger. He bellowed, "If you all take a step closer, I will destroy his divine deity. I, Chen Xiang, will keep my word." This person was actually Chen Xiang. The surrounding people subconsciously scattered, and they knew that the terrifying sword intent they had felt just now was the God killing sword. Something that can't withstand a single blow. Chen Xiang pulled out his sword and slapped young Master Yuan fiercely. After that he punched him in the chest and said to the heavenly God, who had an ugly expression, "Let me go, or else he will die." Young Master Yuan was the son of the God of pills. A God like him must rely on the God of pills to advance, so he didn't dare to act rashly right now. Chen Xiang grabbed young Master Yuan and teleported away, leaving the small city. After getting far away from the small city, Chen Xiang smashed young Master Yuan heavily onto the ground and stepped on his face. "I'm crazy. So what if you're the son of the God of pills? I can kill you if I want to," Chen Xiang said sinisterly as he trampled down with his foot mercilessly. He had trampled on young Master Yuan's face until it was unrecognizable. Young Master Yuan shouted, "Return your divine deity to me, return your divine deity to me. Otherwise, my father will lead the entire war God shrine to kill you, and even destroy your devil-killing divine palace." Pfft! Chen Xiang kicked him on his stomach. "I'm the least afraid of threats. If you want to return to divine deity, then go dream on." Chen Xiang beat him up badly, then bent down and activated soul-absorbing devil spell on him. He searched through the memories in his head, and quickly found what he was looking for. It's indeed Ziqian. Chen Xiang thought that group of people from the war God shrine were really chasing after Bai Ziqian, but Bai Ziqian was alone. She was not with Su Meiyao and the others. Bai Ziqian had obtained a very powerful poison, which had killed a super-profound God in the war God shrine. This young Master Yuan also wanted to use that poison to protect himself, so he suggested to personally capture Bai Ziqian. "Go to Hell." Chen Xiang brandished the God slaughtering sword and pierced it towards the terrified young Master Yuan, releasing a large amount of flames. At the same time that young Master Yuan's body was penetrated, the flames also entered his body, causing him to unceasingly howl and churn. Just as Chen Xiang was about to leave, he sensed the aura of the God of heaven approaching him, so he immediately teleported. However, the God of heaven released a burst of power that interacted with his spatial Pa's sageway, making it very unstable, causing Chen Xiang's teleportation to fail. Seeing that half of young Master Yuan's body had been burnt and was dying, the God of Heaven was enraged and threw a punch towards Chen Xiang. Not good. Chen Xiang dodged hurriedly, but the blood-red palm that flashed past in an instant followed him and struck his body in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. When the palm landed on Chen Xiang's body, he felt as if the sky was spinning and his body was about to explode. If not for the power that Long Shui had channeled into her during that critical moment and fused with his body might have already exploded. Chen Xiang laid on the ground, spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood before he slowly crawled back up. He was only a middle-stage profound God, and profound God and the Gods were split into different mountains and rivers. He did not know how many times stronger they were than him, and it was already a miracle that they were not destroyed after being angrily attacked by him. The God of Heaven was right next to young Master Yuan, checking the situation. Suddenly, his body trembled as he shouted in anger, "Young Master Yuan is dead!" Chen Xiang laughed coldly. "It's good that he died, who asked him to seek death. You have to die too." The War God Shrine's deity let out a crazy roar. The surrounding ice cracked open and began to shake violently. Large amounts of ice began to crack and explode. It was as if the ice itself was boiling. Chen Xiang immediately turned around, took out his 6 realms mirrors, and then the God of Heaven mercilessly threw a palm at him. The violent palm power whistled through the air, ruining all the tall ice mountains nearby. This showed just how powerful that palm attack was. 6 realms mirrors, it's all up to you. Chen Xiang quietly held onto the 6 realms mirrors, and used all his ability of spatial energy, using the spatial laws to teleport away. Pfft! Chen Xiang spat out a mouthful of blood. The force of that palm strike was too strong, just the incoming pressure was unbearable. "Let's go, I'm also heavily injured," Long Shui shouted. Her divine soul had fused together with Chen Xiang's. The 6 realms mirrors in Chen Xiang's hand suddenly released a burst of white light that wrapped Chen Xiang up, and in a flash, it left the area when the palm attack came. "Don't even think about escaping." The heavenly God looked around, trying to find any trace of Chen Xiang, but he could not find anything. Previously, Chen Xiang had brought young Master Yuan here, and he could sense where young Master Yuan was. The War God Shrine's deity left while carrying half of young Master Yuan's corpse. This matter wasn't entirely his responsibility, but his heart was still heavy. The War God Shrine's deity left while carrying half of young Master Yuan's corpse. This matter wasn't entirely his responsibility, but his heart was still heavy. After he returned to the War God Shrine, he reported all that had happened, causing the Hall Master to be angry. After all, young Master Yuan was the son of his only pill God. The news of Chen Xiang's appearance in the Super God restricted area immediately spread. Feng Shen and a few other pill Gods who had been looking for Chen Xiang also rushed over. In addition to this, there was also a large group of powerful War Gods from the War God Shrine. Feng Shen did not go by himself, but had also brought a large group of Wealth Divine Palace's War Gods with him. What was unknown was that the Hel Devil Emperor had also sent a group of experts there, and capturing Chen Xiang was something that the Hel Devil Emperor had been wanting to do for many years. He would definitely not allow others to rush to the front, and if the Hel Devil Emperor did not want to deal with the devil-killing Divine Palace, he would have personally gone there himself. Inside the devil-killing Divine Palace, when the devil-killing Heavenly God heard this news, he could not help but scold. This brat Chen Xiang, how did he come up with such a stupid thing again? Sigh, Wang Jeans. Hi+ said, we cannot blame him. The battle God Shrine's kid Yuan is indeed rampant. If they were to meet, it would not be strange for a conflict to occur. Devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. nodded his head. I hope he can find my old friends, if not, our devil-killing divine palace will be completely destroyed. Qin Xiang used the Six Realms mirrors to obtain a large amount of Six Realms power, opened up an extremely stable spatial Pa-S sageway, and successfully escaped. However, both he and Long Shui were severely injured. Especially the powerful palm attack from the heavenly God behind them, it almost tore his and Long Shui's divine soul apart. Fortunately, they ran away quickly, or else the consequences would have been unimaginable. Long Shui asked, "How is it, are your divine soul heavily damaged?" Qin Xiang sighed. "It's quite serious, I almost dissipated, it seems like I will need a long period of time to recover, although my body is also heavily injured, but my body's self-recovery ability is very strong, and will recover very quickly." Long Shui said, "I was also severely injured, I did not expect that guy to be a G.O.D. It's too scary, luckily you ran very fast, or else we would all die." Thinking back, Qin Xiang still felt a lingering fear. How terrifying was it for the God of War, who was inside the War God shrine, to attack with all his might and anger. My broken divine soul is just around the corner. If you have a good look, go over there and take a look. Long Shui said, "I'll heal up first." Qin Xiang opened up a very deep cave in an ice mountain. After entering, he sealed up the cave and started to heal his injuries. He took out the Six Realms mirrors, absorbed the Six Realms power, and used it to nourish his own divine soul. He did not have any good healing panacea, so he could only use this method. Qin Xiang used up all the Six Realms power stored in the Six Realms mirrors in an instant. It would take a month for him to fill them up again, but his injuries did not improve at all. "This is bad, my divine soul injuries have not healed even after 180 years. I don't even have a pill to heal my wounds right now, and I'm in A.M. Ned place like Super G.O.D. restricted area." Qin Xiang took out a few divine soul healing pellets, but because the grade was too low, they were all useless. He looked at his own divine soul. It was dispirited, like a skinny old man who was lifeless and on the verge of death. As long as his divine soul was severely injured, no matter how good his physical condition was, he would not be able to use the Six Realms power, and his strength would be greatly weakened, because divine soul was like the heart and brain of a divine sense. Use the Six Realms mirrors to try and see if it can bring your divine soul back to before you get injured. The Six Realms power can control many different types of laws, and you need to use the time laws to reverse your yin and yang. Long Shui said, "My injuries aren't too optimistic either, but I'll be able to find my broken divine soul, and then I'll be able to immediately recover." Had thought about using the Six Realms power to reverse the time. However, he did not have the time laws, and did not know how to do it, so the only way to break through it was to rely on the time changes in the Seven Devil-Slaying Kung Fu to comprehend it. It was extremely difficult, not to mention repairing his divine soul's injuries. "I can only try. This is the only way to quickly treat my injuries." Qin Xiang nodded his head. The G.O.D. murdering sword techniques he was using and the devil-killing heavenly G.O.D.s he was using both had a little bit of usage of the time laws, so he was not completely clueless. Qin Xiang held onto the Six Realms mirrors tightly, and studied the wondrous methods inside the Six Realms magic kung fu, searching for the method to reverse the flow of time. "Father, we really want to become enemies with Qin Xiang. He had already eaten the 9 Qi divine fruit long ago, so it's impossible for him to hand it over. Moreover, for him to obtain the 9 Qi divine fruit, it's only because his own abilities are outstanding." Yi Qin looked at the surrounding Ice Emperor and said, "Originally, she did not plan to come here. Because she was afraid of Qin Xiang and did not want to get involved in this anymore." Dan G.O.D. sighed. I am only here to take a look. It is equivalent to saying that I care more about this matter. I cannot let others say that my Danji O.D. has been robbed of the divine medicine, but I did not do anything, so others will think that I am afraid of Chen Xiang. I was just beside him the last time he attacked Li Zhonghan. I felt that he could kill me at any time, and that kind of feeling was really scary. I didn't wish for father to oppose him at all. The Danji O.D. nodded his head. I understand. Chen Xiang must have gone somewhere in these 80 years he's been missing, which is why he has become so powerful. Furthermore, I found out that Feng Yujie has quite a deep relations. I+P with him, so I must have definitely helped him a lot in the dark. Old Yi, Chen Xiang probably did not come to the Super G.O.D. restricted area to kill his son, nor did he come to seek refuge. He must have a reason, because he was in the devil-killing divine palace before. Dan G.O.D. in blue costume suddenly flew over and said, "That's right, the devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. must have let him come." Previously, the devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. had stayed in the Super G.O.D. restricted area for a period of time, so we were just expressing that it would be best to look at the situation clearly. I don't want to get into a conflict with Chen Xiang, it won't be good for me. Even if Yi Qin did not say it, Dan G.O.D. still had that thought. Although Chen Xiang had killed Li Zhonghan and the Dan G.O.D. in blue costume did not have anything to do with each other. At this time, all the Pas Sersby who were Rus. HI+ing into the Super G.O.D. restricted area had their own ulterior motives, but Feng Shun and unwearying fighting Dan G.O.D. truly hated Chen Xiang to the bones. Han Yuen was an outstanding War God within the War God Shrine, and was extremely loyal to the War God Shrine. Although young Master Yuan died this time, he did not receive any blame, but he had a new mission to give him, which was to cooperate with the search for Chen Xiang. Han Yuen was an outstanding War God within the War God Shrine, and was extremely loyal to the War God Shrine. Although young Master Yuan died this time, he did not receive any blame, but he had a new mission to give him, which was to cooperate with the search for Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang and Long Shui were heavily injured by Han Yuen, and Han Yuen had been hiding his strength very well. Neither Chen Xiang nor Long Shui had been able to see that he had the strength of a G.O.D. Even though Chen Xiang had already escaped, his divine soul had already been severely injured by me. Even if he had divine pellets, it would have taken him at least half a year to recover. When he fled back then, he had obviously overused his strength, so he must still be hiding in Super G.O.D. restricted area right now. He stood on top of a huge frisbee. On top of this frisbee were a few white-robed old men, as well as a unwearying fighting Dan God filled with killing intent. Although Han Yuen was a God, he couldn't help but feel a bit panicked under the powerful aura of these upper heavenly Gods. He even more so did not expect that the four great elders of the War God Shrine would all take action this time. Chen Xiang, I must capture him and refine him. Unwearying fighting Dan God was furious. He was a rare genius of the War God Shrine, a famous War God and also a Pill God. Among the Pill Gods, he was publicly acknowledged to be the strongest. A white-robed old man said, "We have to find Chen Xiang quickly." Hel Devil Emperor, Feng Shen and the others have all come, and a few old fellows from Fire Divine Palace are also secretly entering the Super God restricted area. They are probably here for the God slaughtering sword on Chen Xiang's body. In this place, only Han Yuen had come into contact with Chen Xiang, so it was more likely that they would be the first to find him at the War God Shrine. Chen Xiang sat inside a huge ice mountain with his eyes tightly closed. He was bitterly pondering on how to use the Six Realms Mirrors to combine various kinds of cultivation techniques and unleash a power that could reverse the flow of time. The Six Realms power already contained the power of the time laws. However, I do not know how to use it. Although there is a power inside the Six Realms magic kung fu, I do not understand it. Chen Xiang only used 2 days' time to unravel a method to apply the time laws from the Six Realms magic kung fu. The mental cultivation methods written on the Six Realms magic kung fu were extremely few. Chen Xiang shook his head and relaxed his mind. In the 2 days he had spent researching the Six Realms magic kung fu, not only did his divine soul injuries not improve, they even showed signs of worsening. I can only find an opening from the 7 devil-slaying kung fu and the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques. Chen Xiang sighed. He realized that his body was still too weak and actually could not block the attack of the G.O.D. of heaven, which resulted in his divine soul being heavily injured. With the help of the philosophic stone, Chen Xiang's progress quickly had a breakthrough. With the help of the 7 devil-slaying kung fu and the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques, he barely understood the incantations for the Six Realms magic kung fu's time laws to circulate its energy. This indeed required the cooperation of Six Realms mirrors, and it would even cause some damage to the Six Realms mirrors. Just this once and let me pass this time. Chen Xiang also didn't wish for the Six Realms mirrors to fail. If he had to, he would definitely not use it in the future. He allowed the Six Realms mirrors to enter the collapsed majority of his divine sense sea world, floating above the frail and dispirited divine soul. Following his understanding of the mental cultivation method, he slowly activated the calm Six Realms power in his divine sense sea. Originally, his divine soul had suffered heavy injuries and thus was unable to circulate large amounts of Six Realms power. However, since the Six Realms mirrors was currently in the divine sense sea and he was using the secret method inside the Six Realms magic kung fu, the Six Realms power in the divine sense sea began to surge crazily and gush forth. The Six Realms mirrors released a burst of white light Hi plus Ning on the dispirited divine soul. Following that, it started to spin quickly and started to reverse the flow of time. Chen Xiang could control as he pleased the portion of time that needed to be reversed, and he could not return the memories within the divine soul back then. Otherwise, he would lose a portion of his memories for a period of time, which was why he had used the secret method inside the Six Realms magic kung fu to isolate a portion of the memories. When the Six Realms mirrors was operating, it required a large amount of Six Realms power, but Chen Xiang had a lot of divine sense CS, and currently they were frantically being drawn out, so in a short period of time, more than half of them were gone. Not even an hour had passed said before the Six Realms power was mostly already sucked by the Six Realms mirrors, and at this time, the Six Realms mirrors also stopped. Chen Xiang also saw that the divine soul inside the divine sense sea had become lively and strong, recovering to the point where he was not injured at all. The Six Realms mirrors is damaged. Chen Xiang saw that there were cracks on the Six Realms mirrors and felt his heart ache. He did not expect that in such a short period of time, the Six Realms mirrors would be heavily injured. Long Shui said, "The reason the Six Realms mirrors received even more serious of damage before should also be because of overuse. If the time between your reversal was not too far, and it was only by a few days, then there shouldn't be any problems." Chen Xiang gently caressed the cracks on the Six Realms mirror's surface, then putting it into his body. The Six Realms mirrors could self-repair itself by absorbing the Six Realms power, and it was only a crack on the surface right now. The injury wasn't too serious. Originally, it would have taken Chen Xiang 100 years to recover from his serious injuries. However, with the help of the Six Realms mirrors, he recovered in just a few days. Let's first recover the Six Realms power in my body first. When Chen Xiang was cultivating, because his divine soul had been refined and baptized by the six realms' power. After his divine soul absorbed the spirit chi of heaven and earth, it would be converted into six realms' power. A drop of the six realms mirror's six realms' power contained the same amount of energy as the 10 great vats he had condensed. The difference was many times greater. If there was a day he could cultivate his divine soul to the level of a six realms mirrors, he wouldn't need to rely on the six realms mirrors anymore. Chen Xiang rested for 2 days and had already recovered to his peak state. Afterwards, he left the ice mountain and set off to search for the incomplete divine soul that Long Shui had left behind. Long Shui was still heavily injured. She needed to absorb the remnant soul to recover. In that direction, it should be deeper within the Super G.O.D. restricted area. Be careful, Long Shui said. Chen Xiang did not know that there were already a few groups of rankers that had entered the Super G.O.D. restricted area to specially capture him, but he was still extremely careful as he released a very large spatial sensing domain. After more than 10 consecutive teleports, he was already far away from the safer region outside. If not for the transmission array, even if the G.O.D. of heaven was flying, it would take more than 10 days to reach him. It's colder in the depths. Chen Xiang released the S.P.A.C. domain to prevent the cold from invading, but he still felt a bit of coldness. The place he was at was covered in snow and cold wind. He couldn't see anything, so he could only rely on his senses. From time to time, large chunks of ice would fly out and strike the ground, causing the ground to tremble. This sort of place isn't for humans to stay in at all. Chen Xiang muttered to herself as she continued walking in the direction that Long Shui had pointed, because her residual soul was nearby. Furthermore, she wasn't sure of her exact location, so she was sure that it would allow Chen Xiang to go according to her perception. Chen Xiang advanced in the blizzard, and slowly approached the location of Long Shui's residual soul. Chen Xiang advanced in the blizzard, and slowly approached the location of Long Shui's residual soul. There's a mountain ahead. Chen Xiang said through the snowstorm and saw a black shadow in front of him. It was actually not an ice mountain, but a mountain of black stone. Strangely, even though it was a black mountain, it should be covered by a layer of white snow in this snowy land. However, it was black. Because of the violent snowstorm, Chen Xiang did not see the shape of the black mountain clearly. He only knew that it was extremely huge. It's right inside. Open a path and enter. Long Shui said, I don't have any memories related to this mountain, and I don't know what's going on either. Chen Xiang arrived at the side of the mountain and hacked down a few times with the God slaughtering sword. He thought that he could pierce through the mountain like he was ting an iceberg, but he didn't think that there would be no reaction at all. So street you are dysprosium. Chen Xiang did not believe in evil. His God slaughtering sword was extremely sharp. Even though it could not be channeled with divine power or six realms power, it was still able to deal with these stone mountains. He used the strongest power in his body and crazily hacked at the black stone mountain, but there was still no reaction. He was so strong that he could not understand. Just what is this material made of? Even if it's a top stone, they should at least have some traces of it after being destroyed by my God slaughtering sword. However, these stones do not have any traces at all. Chen Xiang touched the mountain wall and actually felt a sense of warmth. In a place where a true God could freeze to death, this mountain was actually warm. It was truly strange. Use fire, use your strongest flame. Long Shui said, I have some impression that this is the way to use this kind of stone. Chen Xiang withdrew his God slaying sword and punched towards the mountain wall in front of him. An extremely scorching flame condensed and his fist became as red as the iron ore in a furnace. Bang! When Chen Xiang's fist landed on the mountain wall, it actually caused a violent explosion, causing his chest to feel a burning pain. He lowered his head and saw that a piece of his skin was burnt and his flesh was torn apart. "What's this?" Chen Xiang sat in the snow and wind. The skin of his entire body was covered with cuts and bruises. His strong physique was unexpectedly injured to such an extent. If his body wasn't a very strong profound G.O.D., he might even be smashed. "Shouldn't this be a good thing for you?" Long Shui laughed tenderly. "You should be able to refine this thing into a pill. This is the best material." Chen Xiang nodded his head in excitement. He had been looking for these ingredients. Although he had used other ingredients to concoct explosive flaming pills and destruction pills, their effects were not very good. They did not have much of an impact on the powerful profound G.O.D. This kind of natural explosion would be able to cause injuries all over his body. If it was compressed after he refined it with his heavenly alchemy, the power would definitely be even more terrifying. It might even be able to fend off profound G.O.D. or even the G.O.D.S. Right now, Chen Xiang not only wanted to open a path to the center of the cave, he also wanted to move the entire mountain away. "Let's go in first." Chen Xiang waited for a long time. The injuries on his body had already healed, so he walked over again. "Just avoid them." Chen Xiang punched again, but this time he released S.P. A.C. domain in time, preventing the energy from the explosion from hitting his body, so that he wouldn't be injured again. After half a day had passed, Chen Xiang had already opened up a very long path. His fist that was ignited in flames violently struck against the pitch-black stone wall, blasting it away with a wave of wild and scorching firelight. "We're here." Long Shui suddenly emerged from the ring and entered the vast white S.P.A.C. in front of him. The moment Long Shui entered, the light disappeared, and she saw Long Shui sitting cross-legged on the ground. The remnant soul had already entered her divine sense C world, and she was in the process of fusing with him. "I need some time." Long Shui sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. "Seal the entrance." Chen Xiang nodded his head. Along the way, he had also collected a lot of black broken rock. He had originally wanted to refine them, but he was afraid that the explosion would affect Long Shui, so he could only use some divine deity to do so. Right now he was refining the divine deity of the profound G.O.D.S., so he wanted to refine the divine deity of several profound G.O.D.S. together to condense them into a pellet. He was already very familiar with the method to refine divine deity into pellet. Even though he had refined a few of the profound G.O.D.'s divine deity into pellets at the same time, he did not feel any pressure at all. In half a day's time, he had refined them into a pellet using the magic method furnace. The elixir here could be considered a divine elixir. However, this kind of divine elixir would not make the rounds. Otherwise, he would be hunted down by a great shrine. After Chen Xiang swallowed this pellet, he entered into a quiet cultivation state as well. As for Long Shui, who was wrapped in a layer of sparkling and translucent white light, he gave off a cold aura, which startled Chen Xiang, who had just entered a meditative state. He was worried that Long Shui would become ice-cold. Seeing that Long Shui was calm, with a sweet smile on her delicate face, Chen Xiang felt more at ease, and continued to cultivate. The Super G.O.D. restricted area was very big. It would not be easy to find Chen Xiang here. However, as long as there was a direction, the Feng God realm and the War God shrine would not give up. Was also an important target of the War God shrine, so her current situation wasn't too bad. She had originally been hiding at the edge of the Super God restricted area's danger zone and was extremely safe, but she didn't know that her whereabouts would be exposed, causing her to have no choice but to hide everywhere. In 10 days, Chen Xiang was able to refine the pill, and at the moment, his refining speed was extremely fast. Even he himself was surprised. However, Long Shui was still quietly sitting there while fusing with her soul fragment. Chun Xiang did not disturb her and took out a set of heavenly G.O.D's divine deity. This G.O.D was one of highest old devil's disciples. When he first went to H.E.L., the old man he met with younger 9 girl was killed by him when he found an opportunity to obtain this precious heaven G.O.D's divine deity. D.A.M. In it, I'm already a super profound G.O.D. I wonder if this thing can help me become a G.O.D. Chun Xiang used the power of S.P.A.C. to isolate the divine deity and prevent the highest old devil from feeling it. I need to cooperate with the 6 realms mirrors. Chun Xiang looked at the 6 realms mirrors and noticed that the crack on its surface had already been repaired, and there was even a 6 realms power inside it. Weird, 6 realms mirrors normally only fill up once a month before, but now that they have been repaired, it's full. Chun Xiang felt that it was very strange, but after thinking about it carefully, he finally understood. It was because he had broke through to super profound G.O.D. in the last 10 days, so the 6 realms mirrors also broke through with him. When 6 realms mirrors fused with his body, their potential would increase along with his own cultivation realm. Chun Xiang took 5 days just to refine this deity's divine deity to melt, and following that, to refine it to remove the impurities within, and then compress it to condense multiple steps. It would still take a lot of time. It's really not easy. It took me 2 months. Chun Xiang looked at the light purple pill in his hand, sighed, and then placed it in his mouth. If I want to become a G.O.D., I need to condense an innate divine deity, as well as a divine soul. This also means that I have an additional innate divine ability. Chun Xiang had already found out that the most basic characteristics of G.O.D.S. were that they had 2 divine soul S, 2 divine deity S, and that their first set of divine soul S were normally hidden very deeply. The last time Chun Xiang killed that disciple of the highest old devil, she did not find his second divine deity, which should be hidden within the divine sense C. Possessing 3 divine deity meant that they were G.O.D.S, and 4 divine deity meant that they were upper heavenly G.O.D.S. 5, 6, and even 7 divine deity meant that they were G.O.D.S. as well. As for how many divine deity there were, Chun Xiang had never understood them before. So devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. and Feng Shen were both upper heavenly G.O.D., but devil-killing heavenly G.O.D.'s divine deity was much higher than Feng Shen's, so her strength was much stronger. To condense the second divine deity, one must first have divine soul, so after Chun Xiang ate the pellet, he focused on condensing divine soul, and after condensing divine soul, he would need to strengthen his divine soul to a certain degree, and then he would be able to cultivate his own divine deity, which would then be considered as breaking through to the Empyrean G.O.D. realm. When condensing the second divine soul, you better choose a good cultivation technique to cultivate with. This way, your second life ability will be closely related to the cultivation technique. Long Shui suddenly said to Chun Xiang. Got it, Shui, how are you now? Chun Xiang asked. When I completely fuse with them, I will have a twin divine deity. We can talk about the details later, so it would be best for us to become G.O.D.S. as soon as possible, because the situation at Divine Prison is very bad. After Long Shui finished speaking, he no longer communicated with Chun Xiang. At this time, Chun Xiang was wondering what kind of method he should practice to condense the second divine soul. He had mastered the 4 great taboo magic and a little bit of it. The heavenly body is the only taboo magic that I haven't cultivated. Penalty Heavenly G.O.D. said that cultivating this technique will have serious consequences, but I will go to the Supreme Divine Palace in the future. The old man there might help me eliminate the serious danger. Chun Xiang felt that it was imperative to strengthen his body right now. That way, even if he met an even stronger G.O.D., his body would at most be injured. As long as his divine soul wasn't injured, it wouldn't shake his very foundation. Otherwise, like before, he would have to use up 100 years of time to recover even if his divine soul was heavily injured once, not to mention that he would need to use 2 sets of divine soul in the future. The of the heavenly body was used to strengthen the body, penalty heavenly G.O. D said that it was very scary, but it must be powerful, which was why it caused Sky Law to come into play. I'll first cultivate the heavenly spirit Kunfu to condense my divine soul. In the future, it won't be too late to use other taboo magic as well, but I don't know what kind of special abilities my innate ability will have after using this heavenly spirit Kunfu to condense my divine soul. Chen Xiang's previous life ability was the Creator's Fire, hence it was extremely useful for him to refine pills. Chen Xiang was running out of time right now, because the devil-killing Divine Palace couldn't hold on for too long, and he had already been in here for quite some time. To condense Divine Soul was an extremely important matter, and one must not be careless. However, Chen Xiang wanted to use the heavenly spirit Kunfu that he had never cultivated to condense his soul, so in the eyes of some old god, this was definitely an extremely hasty method. To condense divine soul was an extremely important matter, and one must not be careless. However, Chen Xiang wanted to use the heavenly spirit Kunfu that he had never cultivated to condense his soul, so in the eyes of some old god, this was definitely an extremely hasty method. Chen Xiang was also clear on this point, because it would affect the quality of his second divine deity. If the second divine deity was affected, his overall strength would also be affected. With his current situation, he did not have much time to think. Cultivating the heavenly spirit Kunfu would allow him the most basic of defensive capabilities in the future. Very quickly, Chen Xiang comprehended some key points of cultivation from the heavenly spirit Kunfu. He had already started to refine the pellet made from the divine deity of the god, using the heavenly alchemy to refine the internal medicinal power, and then use the heavenly spirit Kunfu to merge it into his body. Not long after, his body began to change. Sometimes it was cold, sometimes it was hot, sometimes it was black, sometimes it was white, and sometimes it even released flames. Chen Xiang himself didn't know about this change, because he was currently focused on circulating the special energy to refine his body. If he used the heavenly spirit Kunfu to circulate that force, it would produce a very weak and unique soul power. He channeled this soul power into the divine sense C. Each cycle only contained a sliver of his soul power, and to condense the second divine soul, he needed to condense this sliver of soul power together, and in the end, fuse it into a divine soul. At first, he had even planned to give up. As he didn't have much time, he wanted to find a friend from devil-killing heavenly god in 1 or 2 years. However, after he cultivated for more than a month, he realized that his divine soul had already begun to take shape, and the speed at which he channeled that energy was also getting faster and faster. Previously, he could only circulate 10 cycles in an hour, but now it was 100 cycles. Looks like condensing divine deity isn't a problem. This heavenly spirit Kunfu is indeed scary. Chen Xiang never thought that his speed would be so fast. He paid close attention to the situation. There were other reasons that could allow him to condense divine soul so quickly, and one of the most important reasons was those 6 realms power. Every time it started a cycle, the 6 realms power in the divine sense C would consciously circulate with someone, and the wisp of soul energy that was produced would also contain the 6 realms power. Even though this divine soul is growing at a slow pace, I feel that once it condenses into a divine deity, it might even be stronger than my own. Chen Xiang had this premonition. As he became more and more familiar with the heavenly spirit Kunfu, his progress became faster and faster. Almost every second, he would be able to circulate that surge of energy in a cycle and produce a trace of soul power, allowing his soul power to enter the divine sense sea unceasingly. His six realms power was also being rapidly consumed, and was being replenished by the six realms mirrors. Adding on the strong medicinal power of the divine deity pellet, he did not need to stop and replenish it. Divine soul completed. Chen Xiang saw that the divine sense sea was growing a baby-like divine soul. As he continuously poured in more and more soul energy, the baby-like divine soul was growing at a visible rate. In the past, when he first cultivated in divine soul, Pa-S Sing a stage was extremely difficult, but now it had gone by with a whoosh. Before long, his divine soul grew to be the same as an adult. It's time to condense divine deity. Chen Xiang became excited. As long as this divine soul could condense divine deity, he would let this divine soul be responsible for cultivating the heaven's body, and his first divine soul would be to cultivate the heavenly alchemy. With 2 sets of divine soul, he wouldn't waste any effort at all when cultivating in various types of taboo magic. He could even allow another set of divine soul to cultivate it every day and night, while the other set of divine soul could maintain an abundant amount of mental energy. This was the benefit of having 2 souls. Chen Xiang's second divine soul was condensed out from the 6 realms power, which was why it was so powerful, and he did not know it yet. I want to become an Empyrean God. When Chen Xiang saw that his divine soul had matured, he was immediately filled with confidence. His body continuously flickered with white gaseous flames, and in every instant, a surge of boundless energy circulated within his body. As it quickly strengthened his body, it also gave birth to a strand of soul energy that could condense divine deity. Long Shui, who was at the side, was completely covered by ice. If Chen Xiang had opened his eyes at this moment, he would have definitely been scared silly, because the layer of ice surrounding Long Shui was exactly that kind of profound being. Therefore, no matter how big the commotion caused by Chen Xiang during cultivation, he did not disturb Long Shui. Under normal circumstances, the more he cultivated, the slower his progress would be, but Chen Xiang was exceptionally fast. After he condensed his divine soul, it only took him 10 days to form his own divine deity, which made him doubt whether or not this divine deity was his own. This is the heavenly God level's other divine deity. What is this innate ability? I don't think I have cultivated it yet, so I can only continue. Chen Xiang did not sense the second divine soul's innate ability, so he was not considered a God. However, the 6 realms power in his divine sense sea, as well as his first divine soul, had become much stronger. As long as he could cultivate the second life ability, he would be able to become a God. At that time, his 6 realms power and first divine soul would increase by leaps and bounds. Chen Xiang did not have high requirements for his second life ability. He only hoped to be like the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, and gain the powerful ability to defend his fleshly body. Last time, he was heavily injured by Han Deyuan's divine soul, and there were already shadows in his heart. Chen Xiang had already trained in this strange black stone mountain for half a year. When he sensed the birth of the second life ability, he suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a happy smile on his face. I'm already an Empyrean God, haha. Chen Xiang almost wanted to punch and shatter this black mountain, only then did he remember to look for Long Shui. Where is he? Chen Xiang looked around. Originally it was a black stone room, but now it was surrounded by ice, and he did not feel Long Shui's qi at all. He thought that the cold air had seeped inside, causing the room to be covered in ice. However, he carefully felt that the inside of the stone room was releasing a weak cold air. Chen Xiang looked in that direction. That was the place where Long Shui had originally been sitting, and upon closer inspection, he discovered that there was an ice cube that was emitting silver rays of light inside, only that there was a very large layer of ice outside. Hiss! Chen Xiang took in a breath of cold air, because he realized that the ice in the stone room was not ordinary ice, but rather the kind of profound Bing. This kind of profound Bing was actually produced by Long Xue's body. Chen Xiang thought back to when Long Xue had regained a bit of consciousness and turned ice cold again, causing him to worry secretly. I can only wait patiently. Chen Xiang was indulging in his thoughts because these profound Bing were created by Long Xue. The reason why the Super God restricted Area S and the profound cold Ancient Realm S had become so cold was because of those profound Bing. In order to protect Long Xue, Chen Xiang did not go anywhere, nor did he do anything else. He only condensed spirit liquid as he watched Long Xue, who was sealed in ice. In order to protect Long Xue, Chen Xiang did not go anywhere, nor did he do anything else. He only condensed spirit liquid as he watched Long Xue, who was sealed in ice. 10 days later, when Chen Xiang heard the sound of cracking sounds, he became excited. Bang! With a loud sound, all of the ice in the room shattered. A beautiful lady in white floated out from the ice and landed in front of Chen Xiang like a leaf. Chen Xiang looked at Long Xue as his heart thumped in his chest. He was very worried that Long Xue would become the female devil who was not even recognizable to her parents, but the current Long Xue had a very different aura than before. But Long Xue suddenly revealed a sweet smile, and stuck her tongue out at him. Little scoundrel, I'll scare you like that. If you see my true strength, wouldn't you be scared to the point of sing your pants? Long Xue laughed. Chen Xiang sighed. This was just a false alarm. He pinched Long Xue's face. Quickly tell me, what are these profound Bing? When you were cultivating, you actually condensed profound Bing. Long Xue hugged Chen Xiang and whispered, I almost didn't come back, and I almost turned into that ice-cold appearance. Chen Xiang kissed her cheeks and laughed. It's not good now, I'm scared too. Long Xue raised his head and looked at Chen Xiang, pouting his lip. Chen Xiang understood her meaning, so he moved his lips closer and kissed her paws. Silently. After they silently kissed for a while, Long Xue said in a soft voice, Little scoundrel, I want to dual cultivate a live slain method with you. You have been waiting for too long, right? S eyes immediately lit up. Previously, he and Long Xue were already extremely intimate, but they were still unable to break through the last level. He knew that Long Xue had his difficulties, but the time was ripe. Little dragon, you've been waiting for a long time, right? Chen Xiang laughed sinisterly, while the long skirt she was wearing had already fallen off, revealing her enchanting jade body caused Chen Xiang's breathing to become heavier. See how I'll deal with you. Long Xue smiled and pounced towards Chen Xiang, pouncing Chen Xiang to the ground. The ground also had an additional layer of soft white carpet. Who's afraid of who? Chen Xiang laughed, then rushed in, straight towards Huang Long. Long Xue's divine soul had already merged with his body, and the two of them were hugging each other with incomparable satisfaction, speaking words of love in hushed tones, as if they had already forgotten why they had come to the Super God restricted area. Get dressed, we still have work to do. Seeing Chen Xiang being ready to make a move again, Long Xue scolded and patted his face. Chen Xiang also anxiously dressed himself and asked, What exactly is going on with the profound Bing? There shouldn't be a need for you to hide anything from me right now. When Long Xue was wearing the clothes, it was very seductive. One could tell that she was giggling on purpose and knew that she was teasing Chen Xiang on purpose. Chen Xiang snickered and went over to touch her body a few times. That's the power of my second life's sacred art. Of course, that caused the Super God restricted area to become like this, and was the second divine soul and divine deity of my primordial spirit to be destroyed once again. However, I have already created it now. Long Xue sighed. The fellow who fought against me back then also destroyed her cold divine soul. Thus this place had two types of icy cold power. I never thought it would become like this, and even affect 9 heaven world. Profound cold ancient realm was also affected. What's going on? Chen Xiang didn't mind it at all. He had already predicted that Long Xue's previous life would most likely have been filled with the strength of the supreme God. Long Xue said, 9 heaven worlds, profound cold ancient realm, and this super God restricted area are separated by a very thin spatial wall. Back then, when a large number of 9 heaven divine palaces GODs were surrounded and attacked from that place, there were dozens of heavenly GODs, so they broke through the walls of 9 heaven world and GODS realm. The riddle in Chen Xiang's heart had already been solved, which made him feel much more comfortable. Little naughty dragon, you were 2G. Oh, delay in the past if you want to become 2G. Oh, delay, how much divine soul do you need to use? Chen Xiang asked. Guess. Long Xue mischievously smiled. Speak. Chen Xiang pinched her face. It's so easy to guess at 10 divine souls. Long Xue curled his lips. Chen Xiang stroked his chin and said, to condense 10 divine soul, that shouldn't be too hard, I just need a few months to condense a set of divine soul. Long Xue was very surprised, because when she and Chen Xiang were dual cultivating, she only discovered that Chen Xiang's body had become much stronger, and did not discover his second divine soul. Chen Xiang also did not discover her second divine soul, which meant that he had obviously hidden himself. Of course it's true. My second divine soul's ability isn't to attack, but to defend. Chen Xiang said, this sacred art's ability should be called celestial phenomenon. Celestial phenomenon. Long Xue was a little confused. You cultivate the heaven's body, is there a great relations? Hi plus P between your innate ability and the heaven's body? Chen Xiang nodded his head. Celestial phenomenon is a transformation of the sun, moon, stars, and wind. Logically speaking, this should be an attack that's more useful, but inside the body of the heavens, this is all just main defense. There is no method to use it to attack. Long Xue said, I know that guy who cultivates the heavens body, I never thought that he was penalty heavenly D's father. When I was still in Beast Divine Palace, penalty heavenly D was just a little brat there. Chen Xiang asked in shock, penalty heavenly D is from Supreme Divine Palace. Long Xue nodded, but he doesn't know, he and devil-killing heavenly D both came from the Supreme Divine Palace. They grew up in the Supreme Divine Palace, but their parents and masters did not tell them about what happened in the Supreme Divine Palace, and only until something happened in the Supreme Divine Palace did their parents send them to the GODS realm quietly. The elders in the Supreme Divine Palace have always been in contact with them, and have been secretly taking care of them. However, the penalty heavenly D and the devil-killing heavenly D are currently in a difficult situation, and the elder did not lend a hand. Something must have happened. Devil-killing heavenly D and penalty heavenly D actually had such history. Chen Xiang asked again, what happened to Supreme Divine Palace back then? Long Xue sighed. At the time Beast Divine Palace was exterminated, there was a large difference between Supreme Divine Palace and Six Realms Divine Palace. Some said that they wanted to help Beast Divine Palace, while some said that they were worried about being exterminated, so they opposed it. However, the Beast Divine Palace still survived in the end, but suffered heavy losses and was controlled for many years. The reason why we attacked the Beast Divine Palace back then was mainly to attack the 4 beasts, the Dragon Tribe and the White Tiger. Previously, when Chen Xiang was in the Supreme Divine Palace, he heard from the old man that the Beast Divine Palace, Supreme Divine Palace and the Six Realms Divine Palace were just places where GODS gathered, and there was even a superpower that stood above them. That super strong power was obviously related to the disappearance of the 9 divine kings, and at the same time caused the entire Beast Divine Palace to almost be destroyed. What kind of terrifying person is actually able to cause your Beast Divine Palace to become like this above the three great divine halls? Furthermore, the three great divine halls are clearly under control. Chen Xiang took out the God slaughtering sword. He felt that this sword was related to those existences. What kind of terrifying person is actually able to cause your Beast Divine Palace to become like this above the three great divine halls? Furthermore, the three great divine halls are clearly under control. Chen Xiang took out the God slaughtering sword. He felt that this sword was related to those existences. Long Shui laughed. You still remember what Big Sister Qilian said before, that God's realm does not have a divine nations, so she wants to build a divine nations, and become the divine nations emperor. Chen Xiang nodded. Of course I remember, she has the emperor's ambition. Long Shui received the God slaughtering sword from Chen Xiang's hands and said, I already had it a long time ago, there were 9 of them altogether. Back then, Beast Divine Palace almost developed into a divine beast nation, which was why he was suppressed. Chen Xiang was shocked. 9 divine nations existed, but there was no news about them. This was too terrifying, and it was obvious that they had existed for a long time. Could it be that the 9 divine kings is the king of this 9 Gods nation? Chen Xiang asked again. The origin of the 9 divine kings had always been mysterious. Long Shui shook his head. No, originally there were 10 divine nations, and one of them was destroyed. 9 divine kings is the son of the divine nations emperor. They are 9 brothers. They built the 9 heaven world and resurrected us. It was to rebuild the divine nations, but they did not succeed. The 9 divine kings was so powerful that it was difficult to rebuild it. Having suffered such a huge resistance, it was still unclear whether he was dead or alive. This showed just how strong the 9 Gods nation was. Where is the 9 Gods nation? Chen Xiang asked. Can we go? Long Shui knew that Chen Xiang was very curious, so she shook her head. I don't know where it is, I just heard about it. Anyway, those who have hopes of forming the 10th divine nations will be hindered by them. So, as long as there's a little target, the 9 Gods nation will frantically suppress them. They don't seem to allow another divine nations to appear. This is a tacit understanding between them. Chen Xiang pointed to the God slaughtering sword and asked, Do you know what this is? Devil-killing heavenly God picked it up here. Long Shui nodded his head. I do. This sword is from those divine nations. You are currently unable to infuse any energy into it, because there is no divine deity in this sword. The divine deity inside has already dissipated many years ago. High-grade divine weapons are considered the strongest when compared to God's realm. If you can condense divine deity from divine weapons, then it would be called a divine high-grade divine weapon. Right now, your divine weapon is at most a good high-grade divine weapon. Chen Xiang took it, and looked at the inside of the sword and sighed. So that's how it is, there should be a location where divine deity are placed, right? Long Shui nodded. But you must first have divine soul before you can place the divine deity inside. You can help this sword cultivate it out, or you can also find a match. Chen Xiang put away the God slaughtering sword and said, I think all of the 4 symbols divine weapons should be inside there. I don't know. 9 divine kings aren't used for fighting, but rather, they have a special meaning. You'll understand when you find them. Long Shui said, I only know that the 4 symbols divine weapons was not created by them, but by their royal father. Let's go out and look for the profound clothing now. Chen Xiang followed the instructions of the 4 imitation 4 symbols divine weapons on him, and knew that there was one of them. Long Shui laughed. Take this mountain away, you can use it to refine on the way here too. As long as you meet hot flames, this mountain will explode. How are we supposed to take it away? This mountain is quite large, and I'm afraid the ring won't be able to hold it, Chen Xiang said. Using 6 realms mirrors S. 6 realms mirrors S are also from storage magic treasures. Long Shui stood on his tiptoes and patted Chen Xiang's head, then laughed. How stupid, you don't even know how to use this treasure. Chen Xiang and Long Shui left the cave, but the snowstorm outside had already stopped, and the ice here had gradually melted, revealing their original appearances. Long Shui said, "The power of this world of ice and snow has been absorbed by me. There are a large number of profound being inside my divine sense C, and I will use it for cultivation in the future. This is mostly my super G.O.D. realm's power, and a lot of it has been lost after so many years." Chen Xiang spread out his consciousness, enveloping this black mountain, and then kept it inside the 6 realms mirrors. The profound clothing is in that direction. Once we have them, we'll go find those friends of the devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. Chen Xiang pointed to a stone mountain in front of them. The cold inside the super G.O.D. restricted area had already become a legend. It was not as frightening as before, but there were still many profound being buried deep in the ground. These profound being were all formed from the special cold energy that Long Shui cultivated. All these profound being have a spiritual nature, and know how to find treasures of heaven and earth by themselves, then enveloping these treasures of heaven and earth. Some profound being will continuously nurture these treasures of heaven and earth, absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth, and transform them to cultivate strange flowers and herbs, and then slowly absorb the special energy from these strange flowers and herbs. This way, the profound being will nurture a spiritual body, and these spirits will slowly evolve into life forms, becoming beasts. And some profound being are empty. It's because strange flowers and plants have already nurtured a large number of spirit bodies. Long Shui was very familiar with the profound being at the moment. While walking on the road with Chen Xiang, she could also see a few birds and beasts. These birds and beasts had very strong adaptability. After the snow and ice disappeared, traces of a fierce battle could be seen on the ground. Some petrified beast bones and rusted pieces of divine artifacts were scattered all over the place. This showed just how tragic that battle had been. More than half of the beasts in the Beast Divine Palace partook. 1p aided. The ones fighting the Beast Divine Palace were a group of villains from the Divine Nations. These villains were all imprisoned in the Divine Prison S. Long Shui took out a damaged lance. Divine Nations is very powerful, and this time they will release the people from Divine Prison once again, making chaos in G.O.D.'s realm. Chen Xiang wanted to ask more about the Divine Prison. Now that Long Shui had said it this way, he understood why. So it turns out that the Divine Prison was also built by the Divine Nations, and there were a lot of villains inside. The Divine Prison is still very strong, but no one can stop the Divine Nations from opening. At that time, it will be a calamity again, and even the G.O.D.s of the various divine halls will not know about this. Long Shui said, otherwise, H.E.L. Devil Emperor wouldn't be so foolish as to waste so much time with devil-killing Divine Palace. Chen Xiang could not help but be worried. The whereabouts of LV Qilian and the others were still unknown, and after the Divine Prison opens it, will it affect the 9 Heaven World? He came from the 9 Heaven World, so he did not want the 9 Heaven World to be destroyed. Chapter 1891 Master of the Divine Clothing. Chapter 1891 Master of the Divine Clothing. Black turtle cloths were divine armors for protection. Originally, Shen Xiang needed it very much, but now that he had cultivated the Zhenqi, the defensive power of his body had become very strong. He did not need the black turtle cloths, and while training in the Zhenqi, his body would often need stimulation to achieve the best result in cultivation. If you find the black turtle cloth, I suggest you not to use it on yourself. Right now there are crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the G.O.D.s realm, and the strong are as numerous as the clouds. If it breaks, then you won't be able to understand the secret behind the 4 images divine weapon that the Emperor's father left behind. Long Shui was a little worried that Shen Xiang would provoke an even more powerful enemy in the future and cripple the black turtle cloth that he couldn't replicate. At that time, she wouldn't be able to solve the secret of the 4 images divine weapon. When Shen Xiang was in the trial grounds, his black turtle Vajra armor was destroyed with a single strike. If he found the black turtle cloth, and was unable to help the black turtle cloth cultivate divine soul and divine quality, it would be impossible to unleash its power. It was much safer than before. At least, the profound G.O.D. wouldn't have to worry about being frozen to death when they entered this place. However, there were still dangers in this place. Super G.O.D. restricted area had produced many powerful heterosome over the years, and now that there was no snow and ice here, these heterosome were unable to continue absorbing power of ice to cultivate, becoming unusually manic. Heterosome S that needed to ingest a large amount of power of ice S to maintain their bodies were currently like lost food, so they were hunting everywhere. If the ones who entered the Super G.O.D. restricted area were no match for them, they would only become food. We need to take advantage of this time to get more beast meat and stock it up. When the fellows from Divine Prison come out, they will first come here to find this food, and at that time, the heterosome will become very popular. Long Shui saw a giant alligator that was as big as a mountain charge towards her from afar. She licked her tongue and thought to herself that the giant alligator that was crawling on the ground was just like a delicacy. The crocodile looked bursome, but when it started running, it wasn't slow. Its pitch-black body covered in armor was like a black shadow, scurrying towards the crocodile from the distance. On the back of the giant crocodile were tens of sword thorns, ing with cold light and filled with blood. Do you want to come or should I? Long Shui said. I'll do it. Shen Xiang had already leaped forward, to meet the wild-back Spike's giant alligator head-on. This giant alligator was a heterosome, its super profound God's strength, and the tens of sword spikes on its back were his weapons. When the giant alligator saw Shen Xiang coming towards it, it roared, and the dozens of sword-like spikes on its back suddenly released a bloodlight, the sword tip flying out like dozens of red lights, straight towards Shen Xiang. Shen Xiang was now a G.O.D. and there was no pressure in dealing with this kind of heterosome. He only flew over to attract the giant alligator's attack, but he did not attack nor defend. To deal with this kind of attack, I should use the ice and snow constellation. Shen Xiang suddenly felt a slight chill on his body, and a layer of frost formed on the surface of his body, causing his muscles to become even more rigid. After Long Shui saw him, he frowned. This guy is using the power of ice to freeze himself, strengthening his body. It's the same as my profound Bing protection. Shen Xiang's face looked extremely pale, as if he was about to die from the cold. However, he himself knew that although he looked to be frozen, his movements were extremely nimble. The giant alligator's sharp thorns were already fiercely piercing over, and those dozens of back thorns that were flickering with red light cut through the air, emitting whoosh-whoosh sounds. They pierced into Shen Xiang's body from the front, back, and even at the places where they pierced into his vitals, one could tell that this giant alligator had a lot of experience with this move. However, when these sharp thorns made contact with the layer of frost outside of Shen Xiang's body, they were unable to advance even a single inch. Furthermore, these sharp thorns were instantly frozen and merged together with Shen Xiang's body, causing Shen Xiang to look like a hedgehog. Scorching sun, heavenly elephant. Shen Xiang's body instantly went from cold to scorching hot. The sharp thorns that had just been frozen met with hot again instantly and burned. Shen Xiang was satisfied with the abilities of his heavenly physique, and he still had many heavenly elephants that he had not used yet. At his current stage, He could only use these heavenly elephants for defense. He took out the God slaughtering sword and teleported to the top of the giant alligator. With a few swishes, he sliced the giant alligator into pieces, leaving the rest for Long Shui to handle. There are still a lot on the road, it's better to finish it quickly. This kind of cold chi was very special. Just like how she used to envelop the super God restricted area with the power of ice, Shen Xiang understood her intention, which was to attract a large number of heterosome. In half a day's time, they had killed dozens of heterosome. Now that they had also arrived in front of a small mountain, Shen Xiang could clearly feel that the black turtle cloth was inside. Other than him, he had no idea that there was a divine tool refined by the God Emperor in the middle of a small mountain. Although it was a divine tool without divine quality, it wasn't something that the ordinary high-grade divine tools could compare to. I haven't even sensed it, and the inside of this mountain hasn't been infiltrated by the power of ice, Long Shui said. Although the black turtle Vajra armor on Shen Xiang's body was destroyed, he had already merged with it before. There was still the special power of the black turtle Vajra armor in his body, so he could still sense it. He walked in front of the mountain and gently touched the mountain wall. He could actually penetrate it with his hand. There was actually a mysterious restriction on the mountain wall. Seeing that Shen Xiang's arm could sink into the stone wall, Long Shui also walked over and reached for it, but she could only feel the hard, cold stone wall, and it seemed that only Shen Xiang could enter. "I'll wait for you here, hurry up and come out," Long Shui said. Shen Xiang immediately said through the cliff and entered inside. He saw the black turtle cloth. Previously, when Shen Xiang had collected all the 4 images divine weapon, he had seen the appearance of the black turtle cloth. It was dressed in dark red clothes with some black inscriptions, and it was currently worn by a fake body. Shen Xiang walked over. With just a touch, the black turtle cloth turned into aurora and drilled into his body, then appeared on his body. Right now, he had no choice but to wear it even if he did not want to. He never thought that the black turtle cloth was the same as the black turtle Vajra armor, and would actually recognize its master. It's best if we just keep it. If those old Empyrean gods recognize it, it'll be quite troublesome. With a thought from Shen Xiang, the black turtle cloth entered his body like the black turtle Vajra armor. Shen Xiang walked out, and when he went outside, he saw that he was surrounded by a few big men. Shen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that these men were all super profound gods. These men wore the same type of armor and revealed their sharp and powerful swords. It was not strange that the War God of the War God Shrine would find this place after Shen Xiang killed young Master Yuan of the War God Shrine. Chapter 1892 Sky Spill Spirit Grain. Chapter 1892 Sky Spill Spirit Grain. Seeing Shen Xiang coming out, Long Shui laughed and said to the few big-sized men, "Didn't you guys say you were looking for Shen Xiang? He is here." Because the snowstorm had disappeared, these few burly men were able to enter deeper into the cave. They saw the traces of heterosome being hunted, and that was why they followed them here. Shen Xiang smiled and asked, "You came all the way here to find me. What's the matter?" The young Master Yuan whom Shen Xiang killed before was super profound God, although he was usually a little arrogant, but his strength was genuine, and he was even killed a few times by Shen Xiang. These big-sized men knew that Shen Xiang was terrifying, but Han Diyuan had told them that he had heavily injured his divine soul, and it would take at least a few decades for him to recover. Even if he did recover, they would still have to rest for a few decades before being able to recover, which was why they dared to come looking for Shen Xiang. But now that they saw how energetic Shen Xiang was, and how he wasn't afraid of them at all, their hearts immediately sunk, because Shen Xiang didn't look like his divine soul had been heavily injured at all. "You killed the young master of our War God Shrine. We're here to capture you." A big-sized man mustered his courage and shouted at Shen Xiang. Shin Xiang laughed. That's right, that trash called young Master Yuan was indeed killed by me. Do you know why I wanted to kill him? Why was young Master Yuan killed? Because young Master Yuan saw a female dragon. He wanted to take her in as his mount. However, this dragon was the one that led Shin Xiang to H.E.L. So young Master Yuan was killed by Shin Xiang with a single SLA's H. Plus young Master Yuan only killed himself, taking advantage of him having a father in charge of Danshin. He wanted to do whatever he wanted, wanting to take away the white dragon that was deeply beloved by Shin Xiang's side. Based on Shin Xiang's personality, it would be the weirdest thing in the world if he did not kill him. Only then did these men realize that this beautiful woman in white was the white dragon that young Master Yuan wanted to seize. Long Xue laughed. Last time, young Master Yuan only got killed by Shin Xiang because he caught me. This time, it's because you guys want to catch Shin Xiang, so it's my turn to take action. The strength of the white dragon beside Shin Xiang had not attracted any attention. It was also because it was not very powerful, otherwise Shin Xiang would not have been injured at that time. However, the few big men of the War God shrine suddenly felt that this white dragon was much more terrifying than Shin Xiang. Seeing Shin Xiang Ant's smiling faces, a few super profound God's hearts suddenly trembled, because the way they looked at them was as if they were looking at an ant. Kill! A bold man suddenly shouted, because he noticed that their spirit power was much weaker than usual. He waved the gold blade in his hand, and slashed towards Long Xue's slender jade neck. The few big-sized men also attacked at the same time, and all of them were actually attacking Long Xue, because they felt that Long Xue was a huge threat and that her divine soul was severely injured. As long as they killed him, they could grab Shin Xiang alive and return to receive his rewards. Shin Xiang knew that Long Xue could handle it, so he did not make a move, with his hands behind his back. He smiled at the few big-sized men. The blade edge stopped an inch away from Long Xue's slender neck. On the other hand, half of Long Xue's body was already covered in a layer of ice. The few big men who had just attacked suddenly felt their bodies becoming stiff, and then they could no longer move. The cold energy that Long Xue released was extremely similar to the power of ice which had just disappeared, and it was even more terrifying than the power of ice of Super God-restricted area. Humph! Long Xue snorted coldly. The cold chi made Shin Xiang feel as if it was penetrating his bones, and the few burly men also ended their lives in that instant. Long Xue did not even move, she only released the extremely strong power of ice, and these high God's were immediately frozen to death. Hurry and take out their divine quality. If you're a bit slower, their divine quality would have been completely frozen. Long Xue turned her head to look at Shin Xiang and smiled daintily, the frost on her body instantly disappearing as well. Shin Xiang took out their divine quality and with a few moves, he refined a few profound God pellets. The power of your second life ability is to release this kind of frightening power of the profound cold, Shin Xiang said. Just now, when he took out the divine quality, he could feel that terrifying power of ice from inside it. Long Xue nodded. That's right, my ability to eat and sleep is the foundation. As long as I have the ability to eat and sleep, I can cultivate divine quality more easily. Shin Xiang looked at the body that had been frozen into an ice cube, shook his head and sighed. Your attack was a little too heavy. I had originally wanted to look at their memories, but who would have known that even their divine soul had been frozen? Long Xue stuck out his tongue. The next time I meet you, I'll leave it to you. Shin Xiang and Long Xue did not know that the Super God-restricted area was gathering more and more powerful warriors, because the snow and ice suddenly disappeared and the treasures that dropped during the Great War between the Gods would also suddenly appear. The most dangerous place in the Super God-restricted area, the snow and ice, had already disappeared and more people rushed in. Previously, only those with profound God strength could enter, but now true God stage cultivators dared to follow these old fellows in to broaden their horizons. Shen Xiang took out the yuhu that the Devil Slayer God had given him and prepared to start searching for his friend. In this direction, Shen Xiang looked ahead. Long Shui was extremely familiar with the Super God restricted area, so when she saw the direction, he frowned. That direction is where we left from, the direction we came from is right there. Could it be that he has already left the Super God restricted area? There were a few friends in the Devil Slayer God, and the guidance given by the Yuhu was also the closest. Forget it, let's go take a look first. Shen Xiang kept his Yuhu and held Long Shui's hand. Just as he was about to teleport away, he suddenly saw an array pattern appearing in the sky. When Shen Xiang saw these runes, he felt that they were a little familiar. He whispered, "Let me think, I seem to have seen them somewhere before." Long Shui was already on guard. If these array patterns suddenly appeared, something would definitely happen. "It's Master," Shen Xiang said. "When Master uses the celestial evolution, he will create this kind of spirit grain. This is the sky spill spirit grain." Long Shui frowned. "That old lunatic is extremely mysterious. Although I have recovered my memories, I do not know anything about his race. Also, the celestial evolution he used as well as the large amount of ancient books and records are not normal things." Suddenly, the number of array patterns in the air scattered and increased. Shen Xiang and Long Shui patiently waited. They could tell that these scattered runes needed to be combined and would eventually form a transmission array. Huang Jintian's celestial evolution was very powerful and was able to calculate many things. Maybe Huang Jintian came looking for him because she had something urgent, which was why she was making the calculations. This old lunatic's celestial evolution is getting stronger and stronger. Not only is it able to find me, it is also able to get these runes over here. It has a certain level of spatial laws," Shen Xiang said. Long Shui nodded her head. "The celestial evolution is extremely mysterious. I have only occasionally heard the 6 divine kings say that this is something even scarier than the 4 great taboo magic. However, your master has an unlimited lifespan, so you don't have to worry about that." Chapter 1893 Ancient Poison. Chapter 1893 Ancient Poison. After the formation patterns were formed, the array suddenly disappeared in a flash, but an old man in gray robes was crawling on the ground. It was Huang Jintian. Huang Jintian laid on the ground and shouted, "Brat, why don't you come over and help me?" Shen Xiang curled his lips. "Child, stop messing around, get up yourself." Huang Jintian brushed off the dust on her body and stood up. He looked at Long Shui and smiled. "It seems that she has awakened." Long Shui smiled tenderly. "Grandfather, you know about my matter?" Huang Jintian walked over, took out the ancient book that only he herself could see, and began to record while saying, "I just found out too, my memories are connected to this book. As long as I can flip the pages at the back, my memories will appear." Shen Xiang looked at the transparent book on each page and patted Huang Jintian's shoulders. "Master, you're so strong now. I was worried that you would come to me to avoid trouble." Huang Jintian finished recording it very quickly, and then used the book to knock Shen Xiang's head, and laughed proudly. "No matter what, I am your master. I am definitely stronger than you." "Grandfather, why are you looking for him as well?" Long Shui asked sweetly. She had a good impression of Huang Jintian, and she also wanted to know some of her secrets. "Big matter. Look at how leisurely the two of you are here. You must not know what is happening here." Huang Jintian scanned her surroundings and said, "This place was originally a land of ice and snow, but now that the ice and snow has suddenly disappeared, a large group of people who seek treasures have come. There are all kinds of them, and the Dan Shin Ji, ODS are not few in number." Shen Xiang said, The reason why the snow and ice in this place has disappeared is because of her. Huang Jintian scratched her chin, deep in thought, and said, I see, I roughly understand. It seems like the power of the Xianhan ancient region was leaked from here. Xin Xiang said, Say something important. We also have important things to do. Huang Jintian sighed. Right now, the most important thing is to save that girl surnamed Bai. A girl with the surname Bai? Xin Xiang immediately guessed that it was Bai Ziqian. Previously, the War God Shrine wanted to capture Bai Ziqian, but after killing young Master Yuan, the War God Shrine sent many experts over, and the environment here had become so good. Sister Ziqian? Long Shui asked. Huang Jintian nodded. That's her. She is Bai Yuyu's big sister. I know that your relations, Hi+P with Bai Yuyu is very good, so you must go and save her. Right now, she wasn't just going to be killed by the War God Shrine. Shrine of the God of Fortune, Fire Temple, Ice and Snow Palace, Thunder God Hall. All of the major temples were itching to kill her as soon as possible. Shen Xiang was shocked. He did not think that Bai Ziqian was strong, and was only slightly stronger with the poison, but these great temples were like this. You guys didn't know, but Bai Ziqian obtained an incredible thing called the Supreme Ancient Poison. In addition, we have also inherited the legacy of the ancient poison God. Huang Jintian's expression became heavy. I also heard about this and rushed over at the first possible moment. When I saw Bai Ziqian, I was sure that it was true, so I came to find you. Long Shui's expression changed greatly. How did she get it? The legacy of the ancient poison God is extremely impressive, no wonder a great shrine wants to kill her. Shen Xiang did not know the origins of the ancient poison God King, so he asked anxiously, Is it serious? Long Shui said as she nodded her head, Who knows, the three great supreme temples might even send out their primordial GODs to confirm. The ancient poison was the ancestor of all poisons. Back then, only the ancient poison God King knew how to use it, and he used it to kill a large number of experts. In the end, he was killed by many forces. No wonder she was able to poison warlord elites to death. Xin Xiang said, I don't care about that, I just want to go save her. Master, how is she now? Huang Jintian said, She is currently in the Super God restricted area, and has been sealed by a dozen or so GODs working together to set up a barrier. Those GODs do not dare to approach her, and she has the ancient poison body. Now that all of the divine GODs and divine GODs have arrived, we have to work together to eliminate Bai Ziqian in one go and eliminate him once and for all. Shen Xiang immediately channeled his spatial energy, preparing to teleport. Shen Xiang, I've finally found you. Following this old fellow is indeed enough to find you. The voice was divine. A handsome middle-aged man floated in the air and suddenly fell down. The pressure he emitted made the ground sink a few meters. A huge round hole appeared in the ground, and Feng Shen held his long sword as he floated above the hole. Ha ha! No one can save you today. That old BASTARD demon destroyer is already restrained by the demon emperor of HELL. Feng Shen laughed maniacally. Huang Jintian looked at Xin Xiang unabashedly. Brat, I'm sorry, I couldn't hide it well. How about this, I will go to Bai Ziqian's side with this little dragon first, after you finish off this BASTARD, we'll come. Huang Jintian spoke so lightly, as if Shen Xiang could kill Feng Shen anytime. Shen Xiang secretly despised him, because Huang Jintian's strength was not weak either, and she was also strong, so when the three of them teamed up, the odds of victory was much higher. After all, this Feng Shen was a high God, and Shen Xiang was just a lower God. You can't save her. Right now, there are more people who want to kill her than there are people who want to kill you. After I finish you off, I'll go back and join the other Empyrean GODs in killing her. Feng Shen's sword shook and flames roared out. The huge pit below him was instantly covered in flames. A wave of violent chi surged out from behind him and rushed into the sky, releasing waves of violent roars. Feng Shen was a divine money's creator, so his flames were extremely strong. He was a powerful Empyrean GOD who used fire. Grandfather, go over to Bai Ziqian first and tell us his location. Leave this place to us. Long Shui smiled faintly, turned into a white light and entered Xin Xiang's nether ring. Long Shui could merge with Xin Xiang, and they had already cultivated together, so their fusion would become even more harmonious. Huang Jintian wasn't worried at all for Xin Xiang, because he already knew that Xin Xiang had gone through the sovereign trial and he was in the heavenly God realm. This Feng Shen had only just entered the high GOD's realm, and the last time he was pinched by the Devil Slayer GOD, he didn't even dare to say a word. You guys hurry over. Huang Jintian disappeared in a flash. Xin Xiang secretly cursed in his heart, took out the GOD slaughtering sword, and said to Feng Shen with a cold smile, "Let's forget about the old debts and debts." Feng Shen killed Dan Emperor, which was something Xin Xiang and Long Shui were extremely furious about. Hence, today they had to kill Feng Shen to get revenge. Feng Shen's son Li Zhonghan was crippled by Xin Xiang, and he was extremely angry in his heart. In his eyes, only his son could kill others, but others could never touch his son, no matter how wrong their son was. I should be the one who said that. Feng Shen was worried that Xin Xiang would run away, so he released a fire domain that sealed the SPAC. Chen Xiang was also a fire expert, but he was currently wrapped up by the fire domain, which made it hard for him to breathe. Although this Feng Shen couldn't beat devil-killing heavenly God in terms of strength, it was difficult for Chen Xiang to defeat him. Chen Xiang was also a fire expert, but he was currently wrapped up by the fire domain, which made it hard for him to breathe. Although this Feng Shen couldn't beat devil-killing heavenly God in terms of strength, it was difficult for Chen Xiang to defeat him. You and I will definitely be able to get rid of this guy. We will definitely take revenge on Dan Emperor, said as he gnashed his teeth. She began to fuse with Chen Xiang's divine sense, allowing him to feel her dual divine soul. Before, when he found out that Chen Xiang was here, he rushed over and asked around. Chen Xiang was merely around the super profound God, but now, he was at the heavenly God realm. Chen Xiang quietly waited for Feng Shen to make his move, because he didn't know anything about Feng Shen and this place was covered by Feng Shen's domain. If he made his move first, after Feng Shen, who was much stronger than him, he would launch his unexpected counterattack. Feng Shen had also experienced hundreds of battles and could tell that Chen Xiang was thinking about something. He was much stronger than Chen Xiang, so he didn't need to worry about anything when fighting. He took a deep breath, and the flames on his body violently spewed out. Just as he was about to attack, the power of SPAC surged out from outside. This spatial ripple was extremely powerful. As it surged forward, it dispersed Feng Shen's flame domain. Chen Xiang was also shocked. If he did not rely on an array formation to use such a terrifying spatial energy, then he would definitely need the strength of the supreme God. On top of the platform was a purple-clothed female sitting in a meditative pose. She looked extremely weak, but her arrogance did not weaken at all. She immediately saw Chen Xiang, and her purple eyes flashed with a strange light. These Empyrean GODs had actually joined forces to use powerful formation discs to flee to this place. The War God Shrine was paying close attention to the movements of the GRASS in the area. When Feng Shen released his flame domain, it created quite a big commotion and was discovered in an instant. The group of G.O.D were also capable, and quickly confirmed that Feng Shen had discovered Chen Xiang, so they hurried over to see if they could catch Chen Xiang alive, and throw him onto the stage. Feng Shen said coldly, "This is my fight. Whoever interferes will be my enemy." Bai Zhan's son, young Master Yuan, was actually killed by him. He also wanted to help Chen Xiang now, but he was a pill G.O.D with status after all, so he knew that there was no reason for Feng Shen to interfere since he was the first one to notice it. Even if he were to defeat Feng Shen now, it would be difficult for him to escape. The pill Gods, who were initially looking for the 9 oddities divine fruit, are all here, not to mention the Battle God Hall, the Fire Divine Palace and the Wealth Divine Palace. These main heavenly Gods were all of the same strength as the devil-killing heavenly God. Other than that, there were also the few divine Gods sent by the Hell Devil Emperor, staring at the scene like tigers stalking their prey. Today, it was impossible for Chen Xiang to escape even if he had wings, so all the Gods present were secretly rejoicing in their hearts. He wanted to catch hold of the successor of the ancient poison, Bai Ziqian, and even encountered Chen Xiang, the little kid who had mastered many taboo magics. Chen Xiang looked at the Dan Gode and Yi Qin in the distance and asked, "Were you surrounding and annihilating me as well?" Dan Gode shook his head. "I won't attack." The other pill Gods, including the Dan God in blue costume, also expressed their opinions. They were just here to watch a show. Although Chen Xiang looked to be in a difficult situation to escape from, they had already decided not to pursue this matter with Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang looked around, but did not see Huang Jintian. His heart immediately calmed down a lot, because Huang Jintian did not follow him, but instead went to look for reinforcements. It was very possible that he went to the devil-killing divine palace to look for the devil-killing heavenly God, and was the only expert who could help him out of his predicament. "Feng Shen, he just crippled your son, so you cripple him and hand him to me." Unwearying fighting Dan G.O.D shouted from afar, his voice carried anger. When he looked at Chen Xiang, his wolf-like eyes were flickering with killing intent, adding to the pressure Chen Xiang felt in his heart. "I'll try my best." On the other hand, unwearying fighting Dan God was an important elder of the War God Shrine. He was an expert of the same generation as the God of Fortune, and a pill God at that. If not for the God of Fortune being present, he probably wouldn't have had the chance to fight Chen Xiang today. Chen Xiang looked at the God of Fortune in the distance. Behind the God of Fortune, there stood a man with wooden expression and empty eyes. He was precisely the ice dragon who had been taken in as a mount. Now that he had tormented them to such an extent, Chen Xiang and Long Shui became even more furious, and what made him vent his anger was to kill the Feng Shen. Chen Xiang lowered his head to look at the God slaughtering sword in his hand, and actually started to tremble. He didn't know if he was afraid or excited, but he gently caressed the sword's body, feeling the protruding rust on the sword, in order to soothe the God slaughtering sword. Suddenly, not far away from the barrier, a spatial ripple appeared and another large group of people teleported over. Chen Xiang turned to look, only to see a group of beautiful women dressed in white. The leading one was dressed in a white robe. The woman was wearing a white robe, her eyes flashed with a cold light as she stared at Chen Xiang. This was actually the Divine Female Palace's, and the leading lady was the Divine Female Palace's palace mistress. A few of the Great Temple's disciples had all come, whether it was the main heavenly God or their disciples. Now, only the devil-killing Divine Palace hadn't come. "Are you here to help him or to watch a show?" Unwearying fighting Dan God immediately asked with a harsh tone. If it was to help Chen Xiang, even if it was his own divine female palace, he would definitely not let him off. God's palace leader looked at Chen Xiang, then looked at Bai Ziqian, and said with a clear and cold voice, "Our divine female palace is a member of the all-divine palaces. I am only fulfilling my promise back then. When necessary, I will work with everyone to eliminate the villains on the platform." "Alright, if we push Chen Xiang onto the killing platform, will you help too?" the unwearying fighting Dan God asked again. "Yes." God's palace leader's attitude was so firm that Chen Xiang couldn't help but frown. He remembered that he didn't have any grudges with divine female palace. Even the Dan God did not understand why the God's palace leader, who had always been indifferent to worldly affairs, would now become like this. Dan God sighed and said to God's palace leader, "From today onwards, Qiner will no longer be a disciple of divine female palace. The grudge between your divine female palace and Chen Xiang has nothing to do with Qiner. Up to you." God's palace leader coldly replied. There was definitely something wrong with this God's palace leader. Everyone present could see that, and even the group of disciples and elders who came with her slightly frowned. They all suddenly felt that they did not recognize their hall master. There was definitely something wrong with this God's palace leader. Everyone present could see that, and even the group of disciples and elders who came with her slightly frowned. They all suddenly felt that they did not recognize their hall master. Chen Xiang's current pressure was not impossible, but he could only try his best to remain calm. The most important thing for him to do now was to defeat the Fengshen before him, and even if he died, he would at least drag her down with him. But he did not want to die, because if he died, he would not be able to save Bai Ziqian. "You must die." Chen Xiang pointed his sword at Fengshen, and said this word by word with confidence. The God slaughtering sword in his hand trembled slightly, and a terrifying God killing sword roared out, transforming into a form of energy that danced around like a dragon. This kind of terrifying God killing sword made all the sword-wielding experts present inexplicably tremble. Many of the old Gods here had come into contact with the sword God, who was famous for his God murdering sword techniques before. They were extremely familiar with this kind of God killing sword. However, the God killing sword that Chen Xiang had released was actually even more terrifying than the sword Gods. Chen Xiang found out from Yuer that the divine deity he fused with came from a rancor called the 6 Daos Divine Monarch. These 6 Daos Divine Monarchs were closely related to the 6 Daos Divine Kings, and they were even too powerful a God. If he allowed him to become a upper heavenly God, I'm afraid he would be even more terrifying than the sword God back then. Dan God frowned. I wonder if he will be able to escape this calamity today. If he could, then these great shrines would definitely not have a good day in the future. Dan God in blue costume sighed. Looks like we shouldn't rely on these great halls anymore. It's not good to fight and kill all day long, implicate us in it. If the Devil Slayer suddenly pops up, and thinks that we are too inferior, getting beaten up by him won't be good. Amongst the Pill Gods, only the unwearying fighting Dan God was the most warlike. The other Pill Gods spent most of their time cultivating and refining pills. Because they could refine divine pills, they had a high chance of becoming supreme Gods, so they rarely partook. 1p. Aided in this kind of battle. When the Feng God saw Chen Xiang becoming serious and releasing this God killing sword that he was extremely familiar with, he could not help but feel fear in his heart. Back then, when the sword God was proud of the God realm, he was only a little God. The one who died was you. Fengshen gave a stern shout, his eyes burning. The flames on the sword in his hand roared out like dragons. Fengshen's figure flashed and appeared right above Chen Xiang. The flaming sword in his hand transformed into an angry dragon that charged down like lightning, releasing a thunderous roar that resonated throughout the sky, and lingered for a long time. When the fire dragon lightning appeared, everyone did so, especially Fire Divine Pallas, who was extremely familiar with flames. He was dumbstruck because this was the divine flame heavenly dragon flash that they were very familiar with. This can only be performed with 4 divine deity. Didn't Feng Shen only have 3 divine deity? Even if it was the body of the upper heavenly God, it would still break after being hit. An old man from the Fire Divine Palace said anxiously. When the fire dragon lightning descended, Chen Xiang actually dodged it. However, Feng Shen didn't just send one, he also continuously waved his sword, causing the fire dragon lightning to rain down in a concentrated rain. The continuous sounds shook the air, causing the crowd to hear the sound of jars ringing unceasingly. Huge pits of fire were formed on the ground as well, and the intense heat was spread all over the place. The fire dragon shrine penetrated deep into the ground, causing lava to spurt out. Chen Xiang was only able to dodge one attack, and was then struck continuously, and the resistance of his body made all the rancors present embarrass. As said, Upper Heavenly God was extremely afraid of the divine flame celestial dragon flash, but when it landed on Chen Xiang's body, it seemed to only cause him to clench his teeth, and that was all. On a closer look, every time the fire dragon lightning descended, a layer of red would quickly surface on Chen Xiang's body, because it was also the fire dragon lightning that had struck him down at that time, so it was very hard to see clearly, but it was exactly because of this layer that he was able to use his flesh to withstand this terrifying divine flame heavenly dragon flash. What's that? Everyone had their own questions, so Chen Xiang deliberately let out his strange flame light to complement with the divine flame heavenly dragon flash. However, most of the people present were gods, so they could be seen with a single glance. Chen Xiang was using the heavenly spirit Kunfu, and he was currently using the scorching sun celestial phenomenon within the celestial phenomenon art. The heavenly spirit Kunfu could make his body instantly become like a scorching sun, so no matter how hot the flames were, they would not be able to harm him. Chen Xiang was initially worried about Feng Shen's crazy and fierce attacks, but now he realized that the heavenly spirit Kunfu was much more powerful than he had imagined. It could actually withstand an attack of this level with ease. Use the 6 realms power in coordination with my ice laws. Prepare to counterattack. Long Shui sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. I have the laws of ice, so I can use a very strong power of ice. Chen Xiang immediately felt the profound meaning of the ice laws. This was all because he and Long Shui had been fusing for many years and cultivated divine soul together, allowing him to have such a perfect fusion right now, allowing him to sense the profound meaning of the other party's laws. Chen Xiang was currently unable to use the spatial laws, because there were many strong Empyrean gods working together to set up a barrier as well as a few large formation plates surrounding him, causing his power to be greatly weakened. If he was able to use the spatial laws at will, he would basically be invincible. Chen Xiang's arms suddenly emitted cold air, as he punched towards the attacking divine flame celestial dragon. Everyone was confused, because Chen Xiang's body could completely defend against this kind of attack, there was no need to block it. But in the next instant they immediately understood, but then immediately found it hard to understand. Because the moment Chen Xiang's cold fist struck towards the divine flame celestial dragon's light, the entire lightning fire dragon that was hacking down was actually frozen solid. The strong cold power was actually able to freeze a useless object like the fire dragon lightning, and it instantly spread to the body of Feng Shen. He was instantly covered by a thick layer of ice. G.O. D. Murdering sword techniques, profound truths of time. When Chen Xiang opened his eyes, his surroundings became extremely slow in his eyes. Only he could move at a normal time, and he even increased his speed, instantly flying to the front of the frozen Fengshen. The surging of the Six Realms' power allowed his physical body to wield even more power, allowing the God slaughtering sword in his hands to release an even more terrifying sword intent. He stabbed forward, penetrating the layer of ice and piercing towards the forehead of Fengshen. Unexpectedly, a flash flashed between Fengshen's eyebrows, and a burst of intense flames erupted, shattering the layer of ice that sealed him. This guy actually has a soul-protecting talisman. Long Shui snorted, "I've missed a chance." Chen Xiang's profound truths of time had disappeared, and the surrounding area had recovered. Fengshen had also distanced himself from Chen Xiang with his fastest speed, and it had been extremely dangerous just now. The entire Ice Snow God Hall felt that the icy cold power that could directly freeze fire and lightning was extremely inconceivable. They immediately thought of the Ice Law, and only by grasping the mysteries of the Ice Law would they be able to do so. The entire Ice Snow God Hall felt that the icy cold power that could directly freeze fire and lightning was extremely inconceivable. They immediately thought of the Ice Law, and only by grasping the mysteries of the Ice Law would they be able to do so. Continue. Although this fellow uses fire, my Ice Laws are able to restrain him now. He doesn't have the Fire Laws, so he can't do anything to my Ice Laws. Long Shui said, "Use a large area of the mysteries of ice." That was in order to prevent something like that from happening. If not for this item, Chen Xiang might have already killed Fengshen. In the blink of an eye, Chen Xiang had changed the situation. The God of Fortune frowned and suddenly became worried. Chen Xiang was already a God of Heaven, but he was still just a lower God. Because he was able to wield the God murdering sword techniques, he was able to unleash that terrifying sword which almost killed the Feng God. The ground was filled with craters filled with flowing lava. It should have been extremely hot, but at this moment, a chilly wind blew past. Everyone in the barrier felt a strange cold sensation. It was emitted from Chen Xiang's body. A burst of pale white flames suddenly emerged from Chen Xiang's body, and a thin layer of frost also surfaced on the outside of his body. This was the battlefield where Long Shui had fallen in the past, and now, Chen Xiang definitely could not let her fall once again. He actually had to carve a path out for himself no matter what, and bring Bai Ziqian along to leave this place alive. The originally blue sky was suddenly covered by thick clouds and cold wind. Waves of cold air came from who knows where, and the ground was dyed white in an instant. The super God restricted area which had been melted by the snow seemed to return to its original state. This confused the expert. Some of the older Empyrean GODs seemed to have noticed something. The young man's face suddenly changed as he cried out, "Not good." Just as the God of Fortune was about to rush out, a dragon's roar thundered in his ears. The originally dull ice dragon suddenly roared and turned into a huge white ice dragon. It continuously roared furiously as it floated in the air. "Old Bing, this is your supreme dragon blood. Take it." Long Shui's voice reverberated between heaven and earth. The ice dragon's supreme dragon blood had always been in Long Shui's hands. Back then, when it was taken away by a group of old dragons, it was difficult for the ice dragon to improve in the GODS realm. And just now, Chen Xiang had used a miraculous method to release the ice dragon's supreme dragon blood, because he knew that the ice dragon was a member of the Beast Divine Palace back then, and would definitely be like Long Shui, who was also a God. When the ice dragon felt the supreme dragon blood, his sealed power disappeared. Because he was enslaved, in order to prevent himself from living in pain every day, he chose to temporarily seal his own memories to make himself look as if he didn't have a soul. And now, he had been awakened by the supreme dragon blood. At the same time that he undid the seal, he had also awakened the memories of the supreme GOD's era. As the ice dragons danced in the air, The cold energy that had formed between heaven and earth gradually disappeared, being completely absorbed by the ice dragons. Kill! Chen Xiang and Long Shui agreed as they shouted softly. He did not need to worry about anyone stopping him now, as all of this was blocked by the ice dragon. Although Feng Shen was shocked, he was not afraid. He immediately released a flame domain, but the moment this flame domain appeared, it was immediately sealed and shattered by the ice magic Chen Xiang had released. I am now a member of the Four Divine Soul. Chen Xiang sneered, and his body transformed into a gust of wind and snow, enveloping Feng Shen. Feng Shen's body was once again frozen. Unwearying fighting Dan G.O.D., quickly make your move. The G.O.D. of Fortune looked at the incomparably furious ice dragon in the sky and charged forward. At this critical moment, his concern was actually not about the divine aura, but about catching the fleeing mount instead. Too late. After Chen Xiang had frozen the Feng God, the profound truths of time immediately appeared. The God slaughtering sword was already right in front of the center of the Feng God's brows. Chen Xiang currently did indeed have 4 extremely powerful divine soul, which was equivalent to 4 divine deity from a God, and was much stronger than the 3 divine deity upper heavenly Gods. Especially now, when he could perfectly fuse with Long Shui, and also use his own 6 realms power to complement Long Shui's ice laws, he was incomparably terrifying. After using it for a while, Chen Xiang got used to Long Shui's power inside the divine sense and became familiar with her 2 divine souls. Once the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques was unleashed, it was as if time had come to a standstill and only Chen Xiang was allowed to move. If the G.O.D. slaughtering sword could be channeled into the 6 realms power, then it would be even more terrifying, but it was enough to kill Feng Shen right now. Chen Xiang's God slaughtering sword pierced through the center of the Phoenix God's brows. This time, it went extremely smoothly without any obstructions. Don't take his divine deity, kill him is more important, don't waste any time. Long Shui was worried that something might happen, and quickly warned Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang understood what he meant as an endless stream of 6 realms power flowed out of the God slaughtering sword and poured into the divine sense sea. Like a surging torrent, it brought along a burst of heaven-refined energy, and fell onto the divine sense sea like a blazing sun descending to the ground. Boom! Amongst the divine sense sea of the Feng Shen clan, the sea of divine power was attacked so fiercely and fearfully that even the 3 divine souls were unable to escape, as they were all enveloped by Chen Xiang's God killing sword. The divine sea power and the boundless divine power contained in the divine deity were ignited by Chen Xiang, causing a very intense explosion. A layer of the heavenly body's ice and snow constellation instantly appeared around Chen Xiang's body, causing his body to become extremely stiff. The God of Fortune, who had just flown into the air, was stunned as he saw the tragic explosion below and the disappearance of the life force of the Feng Shen. Everyone present were stunned. Unwearying fighting Dan God, who was Rus. H.I. Plusing over, had no choice but to retreat in order to avoid the explosion. Feng Shen was dead, and was killed by Chen Xiang, which was extremely shocking. In the beginning, everyone believed that Chen Xiang would be crippled by Feng Shen, but now, he was the one who died. He died such a miserable death that even his divine soul had dissipated. Right now, everyone was even more afraid of the God murdering sword techniques, because Chen Xiang, a lowly God, had relied on this sword technique to kill past the 2 stages of apocalypse. Chen Xiang. Even though he knew that Feng Shen was at a disadvantage, he never thought that Feng Shen would be killed by Chen Xiang. The moment he arrived here, he was already very sure that Chen Xiang didn't have the chance to turn the situation around. Chen Xiang had fused with Long Shui, obtaining a powerful strength after the Ice Dragon's awakening. This was something that no one present had expected. The violent explosion actually shattered the barrier. Upper Heavenly God's body exploding was actually so terrifying. After all, those were 4 divine deities and a sea of divine power. After the barrier shattered, Chen Xiang immediately flashed to the side of the stage and called upon the 6 realms' power inside the 6 realms' mirrors. He instantly extracted most of the 6 realms' power on his body and used a spatial teleportation technique to force Bai Ziqian, who was sealed inside, out. Bai Ziqian's entire body was filled with wounds, his entire body was filled with poison, and at the moment, he no longer had the strength to fight. Chen Xiang carried her in his embrace and said gently, "Relax, everything is all right." Seeing Chen Xiang bringing Bai Ziqian out, all the rankers were extremely shocked. Bai Ziqian had obtained the inheritance of the ancient poison God King, and he held a grudge against them. This meant that he had a much greater potential threat than Chen Xiang. Seeing Chen Xiang bringing Bai Ziqian out, all the rankers were extremely shocked. Bai Ziqian had obtained the inheritance of the ancient poison God King, and he held a grudge against them. This meant that he had a much greater potential threat than Chen Xiang. This time, other than the pill God who did not attack Chen Xiang, the other Gods and profound God all released a powerful force that entered into the formation plate and released a spatial seal that enveloped Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang and Bai Ziqian could not leave. "I want to stay with you, don't let me go alone." Bai Ziqian hugged Chen Xiang because she could already tell what kind of major decision Chen Xiang was about to make. "You must leave, you must take revenge." Chen Xiang had already expected that this group of experts would immediately seal him, and the strength on his body was only enough to allow one person to walk far. If 2 people were to enter, the distance would be very short. Even if the 2 of them were to leave together, they would very quickly be caught up, because Chen Xiang was going to exhaust all the 6 realms' power in the Divine Sense Sea. Earlier, when he removed Bai Ziqian from the seal above the stage, he had expended a lot of 6 realms' power. If there was only one person sing through the spatial sageway, it would be further away and Bai Ziqian would be safer. "Let's go." When the 6 realms' power in Chen Xiang's body surged, the Bai Ziqian in his arms was also sucked into the spatial sageway. Bai Ziqian's purple eyes were teardrops, but they were also filled with incomparable hatred. Her venomous voice echoed in the air, causing the elderly Empyrean Gods to tremble. This was the successor of the ancient poison God, yet he had actually escaped. If he were to become a supreme God in the future, they would definitely die. "You can kill Fengshen, but you can't kill me." At this time, the unwearying fighting Dan God did not dare to attack alone. The Hall Master of the War God Shrine charged up with him, but they did not enter the barrier. Because even going in and out of the barrier that sealed Chen Xiang was impossible. If he opened the barrier, Chen Xiang might be able to escape. In the air, the God of Fortune and the Ice Dragon were engaged in a great battle. The Ice Dragon had yet to completely absorb the energy gained from the awakening, but it was still on par with the God of Fortune. Chen Xiang sat on the ground. Both his and Long Xue's energy had been exhausted. As long as Chen Xiang fused with 7 Chaos Fire Tokens, he would be able to summon that terrifying 9 Heaven Devil Palace. "It's the Chaos Fire Token. Run!" An old man from the Ice and Snow Palace screamed. His voice was filled with fear. Chen Xiang did not start to fuse with the rest of the Chaos Fire Token. He was still safe now as the barrier that sealed him was very strong and it was impossible to attack him from the outside, and he could not go out either. If he wanted to prevent Chen Xiang from fusing with the Chaos Fire Token, he would have to open the barrier first. However, once the barrier was opened, Chen Xiang might just slip away again. Some of the elderly gods present had long known that Chen Xiang possessed a Chaos Fire token, but they had forgotten about it, because Chen Xiang rarely used it anyway. Chen Xiang had always been curious about the legendary 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Even though he took out 7 Chaos Fire tokens and was about to fuse with the rest, he did not want to, as many seniors had repeatedly reminded him that without sufficient strength, he could not summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace out. Summoning the 9 Heaven Devil Palace out as the summoner, he would definitely be sucked in. The group of gods knew the 9 Heaven Devil Palace much better than Chen Xiang. Seeing the 7 terrifying Chaos Fire tokens, they scattered like a swarm of bees, and even the god of Fortune, who was fighting with the ice dragon in the air, had no choice but to stop and flee. Chen Xiang, who was sitting on the platform, let out a breath of relief. He put away the 7 Chaos Fire tokens and laid on his back, then said weakly, "That was close, I almost walked onto this path." A white light fell from the sky as the ice dragon appeared on top of the platform. He had already broken free from the god of Fortune's clutches, and was now in a very spirited state. He looked young and handsome. "I didn't expect so many things to happen." The ice dragon looked at the marks left after the fierce battle in its surroundings and sighed, then looked at Chen Xiang, who was lying on the ground. Chen Xiang had already used up a lot of energy. He never thought that the group of gods would actually be so afraid of the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. He had already prepared to die, who knew that the moment he took out the Chaos Fire token, the gods would run faster than anyone else. "Hurry up and bring me away, I'm worried that those guys will run back with their lives on the line," Chen Xiang said to the ice dragon, then told the ice dragon the location he wanted to teleport by Ziqian to. The ice dragon brought Chen Xiang and quickly left. They were still in the Super god restricted area because Chen Xiang was still here searching for his friends. Not long after Chen Xiang left, the group of divine gods returned as expected, adding another strong divine god like them, who was also Hel Devil Emperor. The Hel Devil Emperor saw that the platform was empty, and snorted coldly. "You guys missed a chance to run. Chen Xiang has Chaos Fire token and is unable to summon him out, because he doesn't have the supreme god bone that 9 divine kings refined, and the only one that does have the supreme god bone is Feng Yujie, but the Chaos Fire token has most likely already been merged by Chen Xiang, so the 9 Heaven Devil Palace won't appear again. Who knows? If they knew, Chen Xiang would have died long ago. I never thought that he would mess with me." The god of Fortune was extremely furious, because Feng Shun, one of his 4 great disciples, had actually been killed by Chen Xiang. Of course he would not be sad. He only felt that it was very embarrassing. The disciple that he painstakingly nurtured was actually so useless. Devil-killing heavenly god will arrive shortly, so it would be best for us to find Chen Xiang before he arrives. He should still be here. The Hel Devil Emperor actually did not continue their fight. He had rushed over just in time to capture Chen Xiang. It was the ice dragon that took him away. "We can feel its aura right now. Chase after it," the god of Fortune said as he looked in a direction. The fire god shook his head. "Don't go that way. Chen Xiang is very cunning. He wouldn't leave behind such an obvious aura." The Hel Devil Emperor, who had come into contact with Chen Xiang, agreed quickly and nodded, "But we still have to go take a look. Let's split up and chase them from different directions. Who will be in charge of this direction with the aura of the ice dragon?" When Hel Devil Emperor asked this question, it proved that he would not walk in this direction. He believed that Chen Xiang and the ice dragon had left these questions behind to confuse them. "Allow me." god's palace leader walked out and said coldly. Hel Devil Emperor nodded at her. From his eyes, she could tell that he knew this G.O.'s palace leader. The path that G.O.'s palace leader had taken right now was the path that the ice dragon had taken with Chen Xiang. The ice dragon was indeed not cautious enough, and even the exhausted Chen Xiang did not notice.